river in Gikomba Market, and a lot of property has been damaged, but we'll be giving you more information as we receive it. Apart from that, we have stories making news in the headlines. We'll be giving you an update on that as well. The hashtag to use today is Good Morning Kenya at KBC Channel 1. My personal handle is at Stephanie Ayeta. Doreen.
And again, thank you so much for making time to join us this Thursday morning. We appreciate you for choosing KBC Channel 1 to inform you on what is happening in Kenya and beyond. Speaking of beyond, when is the last Thursday of the month of November? You know it is Thanksgiving. This is an annual event always commemorated on the last Thursday of this month, both in the United States of America as well as Canada. And I can tell you for sure also the U.S. Embassy has been gracious enough to also ensure that we take part in the celebrations with them with the turkey. And I can just tell you again, it will be here in a moment, But before I get to show you all that, Marie, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Doreen. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning to you joining us here in Nairobi and across the country. My name is Marie Yambo. Indeed, just as Doreen has said, it's Thanksgiving Day. We'll be bringing you more of that. I do not want to let the cat out of the bag about what is happening at the moment in the studio, but you'll get to know very soon. So we have a lot lined up for you. The Cherera 4, the IBC commissioners will know about their fates as the petition against them starts today in Parliament. The Committee on Legal Affairs will be holding will be hearing the petitions today. And so a lot coming up for you in the news. But just before we get to the news, Doreen and Stephanie, the World Cup has been full of surprises. You know, Argentina was humbled by Saudi Arabia yesterday. Germany being humbled again by Japan. So are we seeing a lot of surprises in this World Cup?
Well, I would say that it will bring a lot of surprises. Clearly, the matches yesterday's were unpredictable, especially the match between Spain and Croatia, where Croatia was beaten 7-0. You know, 7 goals, that's a lot, you know, considering this is a World Cup. You don't expect that much the disparity between the two.
Exactly.
So this is clearly a World Cup that has some unexpected things coming our way. So you can't be too sure about your team.
Doreen, what do you think?
I mean, and that was Costa Rica there, you know, that was actually a bit, I should say, thrashed.
Thrashed is the right word.
No, we were actually just saying, hata ungeka tu kamoja kuonesha we were in that field.
Yeah.
You know, 7-0 is quite a lot. But also we saw that, during the first match, Qatar being beaten in their own land. So clearly it's going to be quite an interesting game. Also with Senegal, I mean, the first African country to play, we didn't really quite expect, you know, was it 2-0?
Yeah,
but 2-0, yeah.
But just to bring you up to speed, that is Cameroon and Ghana will be taking to the pitch today. So maybe they hold the hopes of Africa to have their first win. So we'll be giving you tidbits as we go on. Thanksgiving is the main talk of the day today on the World Cup also. So we'll see you in a short while with the news.
Yeah, and before we get to news, you know, Marie had already mentioned that today is Thanksgiving, and I had told our viewers that the U.S. Embassy has been gracious enough. So for them not just to be celebrating this in their own country, which is a very important day, but also trying to ensure that here in Kenya we can be part of the celebration. And that's just at the center of our table. We have that very big turkey. You know, in our place we call it very big chicken.
You know?
So this is one of those important days, as we've talked about, dates back from as early as 1621. Important day for both US as well as Canada. Day to just come together, reunite as friends, family, as well as relatives, celebrate, giving Thanksgiving back. Also dating back from that harvest celebration there. But just bringing it back home, I'd want to rope you on this one, Marie and Steph, before I get to read the message from Meg Whitman there, which we actually have this particular message here, bringing it back home. I mean, we are closing the year, sort of like almost closing the year. There's really quite a lot that has been happening in our country. It has been that electioneering season or year, so to speak, I should say. So we are also dealing with the issues of drought and famine in our country, climate change here and there, food insecurity. There's quite a lot to talk about. But generally, what are you grateful for? Steph, maybe we can start with you on this one.
There's so much to be grateful for this year. I am particularly grateful that we had some peaceful elections, at least, Doreen, because, there's been a pattern, you're not very sure about how the election would have panned out. So I am particularly grateful about the elections that we had this year. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for family and friends. I'm grateful that I'm working. So much to be grateful for. Yeah.
There's so much to be grateful for. Harry, what's your take on this one?
Indeed, I mean, just as you've mentioned, and even Stephanie has mentioned, we are grateful for peace, because we know the order of the day when it comes to our elections in terms of violence and all that. But this time Kenyans really carried ourselves with a lot of pride and all that. So I'm grateful for peace. I'm definitely grateful for provision. People are not having it easy out here in terms of drought and famine, and just being grateful that God has given us even this chance to be here and work and earn, a living. Not everybody has that chance. Definitely grateful for family always. They're the ones who have your back when everything else is, not going on well. So definitely grateful for family, and grateful for God in the sense of life and good health.
Yeah, that's really quite the thing there. There's just so much also to be grateful for, much as there's quite a lot that is happening. But also, they use different forms of foodstuffs to celebrate this Thanksgiving, and the key and the main one is usually the turkey, just as what we're having right here on our table. But also they use stuffed bread, potatoes, cranberries. I mean, for you as an individual, anytime you just feel you're really grateful for something, for this is normally an annual event. It's as a specific day, but just as an individual, anytime you feel like I'm grateful to God, I'm grateful to family for something, what is this that you actually use to just mark this celebration or this Thanksgiving?
Well, I think because of culture, we are almost close to what they have. Still a type of bud. The chicken. I would say the chicken would work best for me as a type of food. Just say that I'm grateful for family, and we sit down and dine over a good chicken.
You feel like you come from where I come.
I come close. I'm close by.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and also maybe fish, chapati. Yeah,
so there's just a way that food is normally used to mark a celebration of something.
Yeah.
It just has
food has to be there. I mean, how can there be celebration
without food?
Food without celebration. Food is the hallmark of celebration. So food has to be there. And I think it cuts across nowadays: chicken, fish, chapatis, pilau, biryani, for those, coming down from the coast and all that. So I'm not so sure if I have any favorites nowadays, Doreen and Stephanie, because these were foods that were rare when we were growing up, So you'd eat them like Christmas or certain special occasions. But right now, it's more or less like you could have them anytime. So, but food has to be there.
Food brings people together.
Yeah, and I like the way Marie has put it. I mean, how would you have a celebration, a commemoration, marking any event without food? It's what brings us together at the end of the day. And also just to fill you in, we'll equally be having a conversation on the same with a Kenyan American based in the US, that is Kayleen. She'll be talking to us about this particular day, what it means for her, and basically just how also being there, how she's commemorating this day. You can also, just take a point that this is one of those days that particularly when it comes to travel, airlines also really quite make a good amount of money, because then there's really quite a lot of traveling here and there, because obviously people are heading over to meet their friends, families and relatives. But also, just before I toss it over to Marie to bring us up to speed with the news, I want to read you this message from the US ambassador to Kenya, that is Meg Whitman. And this is a message also just from him to us here as Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. And he says, as I celebrate my first Thanksgiving as ambassador to Kenya, I wanted to pass along my well wishes and express my gratitude for everything you and your media colleagues do to champion democracy, inform citizens, and hold leaders accountable. In the United States, Thanksgiving is a time to reflect on the importance of family, friends, and the values that strengthen our communities, such as independent media. We are thankful for your hard work, persistence, and sacrifices that ensure access to timely, accurate, and insightful news coverage in Kenya. I hope you and your team take a moment today to reflect on your important role as journalists as you enjoy this turkey dinner. On behalf of the United States Embassy, happy Thanksgiving 2022. Sincerely, Meg Whitman. Thank you so much for this lovely message, and also just for ensuring that we are part of this celebration. We will surely enjoy this turkey.
Oh,
and we are grateful as a corporation as well for this. Thank you again. Marie, over to you now.
Thank you indeed for that message, and happy Thanksgiving Day to the Americans and Canadians, and to all of us, really. We have to be thankful for everything that God has given us. So we'll be getting straight to the news. Welcome back. And Kenya and South Korea have signed a bilateral agreement to foster trade and investment. Speaking in Yongsan Presidential Office in South Korea, President William Ruto assured President Yoon Suk-yeol that Kenya will create an enabling environment for South Korean investors. Kenya has secured 120 billion shillings from South Korea to support various development projects. Ruto said the money will go to health, ICT, and agricultural programs, technical training, and vocational education, Mombasa's Dongokundu and Naivasha's special economic zones. The two countries also agreed to pursue development-oriented policies that support job creation, entrepreneurship, creativity, innovation, and encourage the growth of micro, small, and medium enterprises.
Let me applaud our friendship between South Korea and Kenya. These historical ties are founded on common values and principles, including multilateralism, and have subsisted since the dawn of Kenya's independence in 1964. The uninterrupted maintenance of resident embassies in our two capitals testifies to the significance of these relations for both countries. And in pursuit of our shared commitments, both our countries have continued to nurture and expand the ties with the aim of contributing to the realization of mutual socio-economic development. By 2050, a quarter of the world's population will be living in the African continent. The African continent is home to the largest reserves of natural resources, renewable energy, and a home to the youngest population in the world.
Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei wants Trade and Investments Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria stopped from gazetting the importation of 10 million bags of maize into the country. In a statement seeking a formal response through the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Cherargei wants the Ministry of Agriculture compelled to buy out all the maize being harvested in the country during this season before embarking on the importation. This, even as CS Kuria remained defiant on the need to import maize to feed hundreds of families sleeping hungry.
In his continued criticism of the insistence by Trade CS Moses Kuria on the importation of 10 million bags of maize to bridge the existing shortage, the Nandi senator rose to seek a statement from the Senate Agriculture Committee on the maize situation in the country. Cherargei wants the committee to reveal to Parliament what informed the decision to import the maize at a time when farmers are harvesting.
Explain what informed the decision by the Ministry of Agriculture and Trade, Livestock Development to import maize, and yet the National Cereals and Produce Board has not opened its stores to take up the crop currently being harvested by local farmers across the country, considering the high cost of farm inputs, where one bag of fertilizer was 7,000 shillings. They incurred, among other costs, during the planting season.
In the meantime, Cherargei further wants the committee to recommend that the Cabinet Secretary for Trade, Moses Kuria, be barred from gazetting the importation deal up until when the National Cereals and Produce Board purchases all the maize from farmers.
And then the question Kenyans should ask themselves is, including City Senator, because I know they don't plant maize but they consume a lot, is National Cereals and Produce Board is not open. Why do you want us to take our maize? National Grain Strategic Reserves is not open. Why do you want us to take our maize? Should we take to the individual members of Parliament? Should we take to Mr. Speaker, to the Cabinet Secretary's office?
His statement drawing support from a number of senators who are accusing faceless cartels of hatching a plot to impoverish farmers using the importation deal.
The big question, the harvesting is going on right now. In fact, we find a lot of lorries now ferrying maize from Uasin Gishu to other places. So you ask yourself, what really informed the decision to import maize now?
The importation of maize that is sanctioned during harvest, Mr. Speaker, is meant to impoverish the farmers who have already suffered major losses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary must be reminded that the situation we are facing of low productivity is as a result of bad politics, Mr. Speaker, in the agriculture sector, Mr. Speaker.
Hawa wakulima wetu, je, sisi kama Wakenya tumewaweka wapi? Hilo ndio swali muhimu sana la kujiuliza. Kwa sababu tunaweza kuleta mahindi iaje hapa na tutakuwa tumeua nguvu za mkulima ambaye analima mahindi.
But while in the eye of a storm, CS Kuria remains defiant that government will import the maize as it seeks to lower the cost of living and ensure no Kenyan sleeps hungry. The CS, who is in Korea accompanying President William Ruto on an official visit, took to his social media page to dismiss his critics, accusing them of playing politics.
Jacob Kuria reporting there. Now, Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi has been dealt a blow after the County Assembly rejected 5 of his 10 nominees to his cabinet. The 5 who were rejected were said to lack the requisite authority and knowledge to man the docket which they were nominated to run.
Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi will have to wait a little longer to form his government after the Kiambu County Assembly rejected 5 of his 10 County Executive Committee members on Wednesday. According to the MCAs, the 5 were rejected for not demonstrating knowledge of the topical, administrative and technical issues affecting their dockets.
Marketer can't really suit to be in planning department. And Mr. Speaker, to give an example, with the position that you are in, we gave you that position because you have knowledge in law.
The executive always tries to have a hand in when it comes to motions for obvious reasons, but in this instance we decided that we are going to be independent thinking, and anybody who had the thought that this would be a rubber stamp assembly, that notion has been dispelled.
The nominees who were rejected are Nancy Kirumba, who was nominated for the position of Finance, ICT and Economic Planning, Margaret Waithera in the docket of Administration and Public Services, Salome Wainaina for Housing, Physical Planning, Municipal Administration and Urban Development. Wilfred Mwendwa, who was nominated to the Head Agriculture, Livestock and Cooperatives Development docket, and Dr. Elias Maina in the Department of Health Services. Now the county boss has to go back to the drawing board and appoint 5 new nominees in order to make his cabinet complete.
Order, honorable members. Order.
8 police officers from the disbanded Special Service Unit of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations accused of being behind the disappearance of 2 Indian nationals and the taxi driver have accused the Directorate of Public Prosecutions, that is, failure to obey a court order to have them undergo DNA tests. Through lawyers Dunstan Amari and Omaio Aranga, the officers who are in police custody are reading mischief in the delayed DNA test.
Nearly a month in custody for allegedly being behind the disappearance of 2 Indian nationals and their taxi driver, 8 police officers from the disbanded Special Service Unit of the DCI have questioned why they are yet to be taken for DNA testing as ordered by the court.
We wrote to the Internal Affairs Unit requesting to know the progress they have made now that we are drawing close to the end of the 30 days that they had sought. Interestingly, to date, the Internal Affairs Unit who are investigating this matter are yet to escort our clients to the National Forensics Lab at the DCI headquarters.
In a letter to the Director of Public Prosecutions, the suspects claim there's an attempt to have them taken to the government chemist for DNA tests.
Unless there is a review of that order by a court of competent jurisdiction, our clients will not set foot at the government chemist.
Lawyers Dunstan Omari and Omaio Aranga, who represented the 8 currently detained pending investigations, claim no investigations have commenced in establishing who abducted the 2 Indians and a Kenyan whose bodies were found at the Aberdare mountain.
They are being told to implicate their seniors, their superiors in the abduction and disappearance of the 2 Indians plus 1 taxi driver.
They should not hold the entire nation at ransom for the simple reason that these were officers who were highly trained in the Special Service Unit and who didn't have any jurisdiction in terms of how they work.
In the case, 9 officers were detained, but the court released 1 suspect on 500,000 shillings personal bond.
Now, 4,000 residents of Ndithini Ward, Masinga Sub-County, want the government to probe the deaths of 14 people who have died in the last 4 days over a 2,400-acre piece of land in Masinga. Residents claim powerful individuals in government have been intimidating them into giving up the land, which they have claimed ownership of. They are now appealing to the government to intervene on the matter, saying many of them do not want to go back to the land for fear of attacks.
People power, haki yetu. People power, haki yetu. Haki yetu, people power.
Wednesday morning, a section of residents of Ndithini Ward, Masinga Sub-County in Machakos County, launched their complaint at the Haki Africa office in Nairobi.
Sina la kufanya na shamba yangu imechukuliwa na hiyo katera. Sasa hii nimepanda na sasa tuwezi kanyanga pale, wanazunguka pale watu mikora na polisi bado wananiwinda.
It was here that they demanded a probe into the deaths of 14 people they allege have been killed in connection with a 2,400-acre piece of land in Masinga sub-county.
Kwa huo muda wa miaka 2 kumeuliwa watu 4. Na wale watu wote wameuliwa kwa hiyo shamba ni watu 14. Ambao serikali wako na ukweli, tunapoenda kuwalazimisha waseme ni nini atukula wawezi kuongea na wanatumia machiefs na administrations kutuangamiza.
Locals claim some rogue officers in Masinga sub-county police station are being used to harass and intimidate them in a well-orchestrated scheme hatched to edge them out of their land.
Alikienda kwa DC, waliniambia nirudi kwa DCI, pale kwa DCI, Katel wakaenda, wakapanga mpango, nikaambiwa nitoke kwa hiyo shamba.
Nikienda pale naambia mzee wanaambiwa wasiende kwa shamba na tusikanyange hapo. Mimi nahofia tu bwana nyumbani kuona wazazi wangu. Watu wanapita kwa mashamba wameshika mishale, wameshika panga. Wazazi nikawaambia mtulie kwenu. Hapo tu kwa ngoma, msishughulike na mtu.
Nimeshikwa, nimepelekwa polisi. Nikipelekwa polisi mara bibi yangu ananifuata. Anakuja ananitoa na pesa. Kwenda kwa koti, tunafanya hiyo kazi narudishiwa pesa yangu. Mara kulimalima kidogo ndio mimi nakuja nawe kwa kotini.
Human rights organization Haki Africa Rapid Response Officer Frederick Ojiro has appealed to relevant authorities to probe the matter and bring the culprits to book.
So as Haki Africa, we will pick up this matter and we will raise it with the IG. We will raise it with the DCI, because the DCI in Masinga are also implicated in this criminal syndicate.
Ojiro saying he will write a demand letter to the Ministry of Lands seeking to know the legitimate owner of the land in question.
We want to condemn with the strongest terms possible government officials and cartels who are working around the clock to dispossess this community of their land.
We now take our first break off. The bulletin will be back with much more.
Songea tukupashe na zile ambavyo vitakupa tabasamu tosha.
Hana mapenzi wala mahaba, mtoto mbaya sana huyu.
What did you just say? Sio tamthilia tu.
And why you're saying that
Ni tamthilia tosha.
Alinishika hivi. What?
Sio burudani tu, ni burudani tosha.
It is the day that the Lord has made.
Na sinema bomba.
Enda kabisa kama uelewi kitu inafaa uelewi.
Na mada za kusisimua. KBC Channel 1, shirika la utangazaji Kenya.
I was part of the team ilitumwa ku take out Burhan. Nilikaa huko 5 years, nika study the man. All I ask is you let me right my wrongs and give me an opportunity to bring Burhan down for good.
Na una hakika hiki kikosi chako kitaweza kufanya hivyo?
Yes, sir.
Hii kikosi yako kuna kina nani?
Senior Sergeant Farah, aka Stingray. Corporal Ibrahim, aka Mongoose. Corporal Katana, aka Panther. PC Kiambu, aka
Maliet.
PC Kibet, aka
University.
We do this for honor.
Yeah.
Our loved ones, our family, and our country. 1, 2, 3.
Singo no tamu yudo.
Kuchemsha bongo.
Soda wow.
Welcome back. And in a bid to ensure inclusive education among children with disabilities, all teacher training colleges will, going on forward, be offering knowledge on how to handle learners with disabilities. Early Learning and Special Education Principal Secretary Dr. Julius Juan says the lack of teachers with skills to handle children with disabilities has been a major cause of under-enrollment among children living with disabilities.
Speaking at the launch of the 4th Conference on Parental Empowerment and Engagement at the Kenya Institute of Special Education, KISE, Education Principal Secretary Julius Juan said the training, which is compulsory in all teachers' training institutions, is geared towards ensuring no learner is left behind.
We would have learners being taken to inclusive schools, learners with special needs, and the teachers who don't know what to do with them because they have never been taken through that training. That is going to be a thing of the first. The training is now compulsory that every teacher who goes through our teacher training colleges will have some basic skills on special needs learners, the different types of learners, needs, so that they know how to deal with them, even as they interact with the normal learners in the school.
The Principal Secretary says, though infrastructure is still a challenge in ensuring inclusive education, the government through the Kenya Institute of Special Education will provide all the required equipment in special needs schools across the country.
We hope that soon KISE would become more autonomous so that they are able to open branches across the country so that they reach out to the special needs learners in those counties instead of them coming all the way to Nairobi.
Some of us have got very little understanding of what special needs is all about. And more importantly, some of us just believe that special needs is something that you are born with. And that once you are born normal, in quotes, then you have no chance of becoming someone with special needs.
Even as the government tasked stakeholders attending the 2-day workshop to make recommendations that will help in policy making on parental empowerment and engagement, some feel forgotten by the government.
The capitation is too low. Capitation for these learners is too low. We request for doubling so that the autism learners and the mentally challenged learners can be able to take their meals effectively because the parents are not positively paying for the fee.
Aomba watupunguzie pay ya madawa ya watoto wetu because hii madawa it's a lifetime thing. Na tungeomba tu serikali itupatie dawa, watuambie hii hospitali ukienda unapeleka tu kadi ya disability na wanatupatia dawa bila kuchelewesha mtoto hata 1 minute.
From the 1st of December this year, the role of film agents shall be restricted to, among others, and provision of logistical support services to foreign film and television producers. The agents will also bear the responsibility of ensuring foreign film and television producers comply with the Act and other applicable Kenyan laws. Kenya Film Classification Board's acting chair, Christopher Wambua, has also called on parents to be wary of the content their children are consuming, especially during the long holidays.
The Kenya Film Classification Board is set to implement new measures that will assist in boosting its regulatory mandate effective 1st December 2022. The measures are restricting the role of film agents to provision of logistical support services to foreign film and television producers and facilitate their access to filming licenses. Local filmmakers will receive filming licenses directly without going through agents. Film agents shall be issued an annual certificate of registration on such conditions as KFCB shall prescribe. Film agents shall bear the responsibility of ensuring foreign film and television producers comply with the Act and other applicable laws of Kenya. Local filmmakers shall be required to provide details of their business through an annual registration process at no cost. Filmmakers shall be required to comply with the Act and other applicable laws of Kenya.
KFCB does not intend to regulate user-generated content, as this would amount to violating the constitutionally guaranteed freedom of expression. We, however, call on Kenyans who wish to distribute user-generated audiovisual content, particularly on social media platforms, to exercise responsibility and to institute the requisite safeguards to protect children from exposure to adult content.
To this effect, the board shall, starting this Friday, the 25th of November, publish a public notice to sensitize the industry on the validated administrative decision on redefining the role of film agents in Kenya and the board's decision to implement it. The board is also engaging in an 8-week-long program dubbed Family Safi to award PSVs in 8 Nairobi routes exhibiting appropriate content to ensure children aren't exposed to adult content material. They further urge parents to be more vigilant on the content their children are consuming during the holidays.
We also urge parents and guardians to take a keen interest in the gaming content and activities that the children are exposed to, especially on the net, and the gaming consoles or PlayStations in their homes.
Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jumwa has declared war against gender-based violence perpetrators and those behind killings of the elderly in Kilifi County. Jumwa saying those perpetrating violence against women and girls would be dealt with in accordance with the law. Elsewhere, Kikuyu border riders have been banned from operating past midnight. The move is aimed at dealing with rising cases of insecurity in the county.
The CS for Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, Aisha Jumwa, has warned chiefs and their assistants against seeking out of court settlement on issues of gender-based violence. Jumwa, who spoke in Ganda Ward, also urged police to be empathetic with victims of gender-based violence, noting stigma continues to make it difficult for them to seek justice.
Kwa hivyo mimi tutapanga mipango na nitakuja kaa na governor na security team yetu hapa tuhakikisha ya kwamba tumeshikana kuhakikisha dhuluma za kijinsia ndani ya Kilifi na Kenya tunazizika katika kaburi la sahaba.
Meanwhile, Kisii County Governor Simba Arati has ordered a head count aimed at ridding the county of ghost workers. Over 5,900 county employees will undergo a verification process to authenticate their certificates, noting those with fake documents will be aged out.
Out of this exercise, we will calm down because many people will be sent home. And that is for sure. For even from the preliminary report we have, there are people who will go home. And we will have calmed down. We'll have some little money to build offices. These MCAs, they don't have even offices.
Elsewhere, police in Kikuyu sub-county have held a consultative meeting with border operators to come up with a working formula and rid the sector of criminal elements. Kikuyu Sub-County Police Commander Catherine Ringera noted the sector has been infiltrated by criminals who are terrorizing residents, noting there is need for collaborative efforts to eliminate such elements.
We have agreed watakuwa wanatembea kutoka jioni, kutoka asubuhi, ikifika saa 5:30 saa 6 kila mtu ameenda kwao. Ile mtu atakuwa anafanya kazi past midnight, huyu atakuwa customer yetu.
And in Embu, university students have been urged to adhere to basic road safety rules, especially now that the country is heading to the festive season.
As NTSA, we are undertaking the following interventions in an effort to reduce road traffic crashes. We are finalizing on the development of the National Road Safety Action Plan to enhance coordination, management, and implementation of road safety priority plans.
Finally, parents have been urged to help children balance education and life skills in a bid to acquire problem-solving capabilities. The Regional Education Learning Initiative RELI says there is need for children to acquire critical and practical training to be able to navigate the ever-changing and competitive world.
So it is a call for policymakers, for educators, for teachers, for parents and communities to think how we can help our learners to get these core competencies of what we are calling life skills and values. I think in this century, this 21st century, these are the most important skills.
We now go to the business news, where real estate developers have urged the government to help address challenges of inflation beginning next year, which has been identified as a major contributing hurdle in development of the real estate sector in the country. Rosan Properties CEO Samuel Gitare says inflation has continued to prevent Kenyans from investing in the real estate even as the market shifts to grade A real estate.
Well, I think the government is doing as much as it can, because, well, the work of the government is in terms of policy making, and they are on paper they have done as much as they can in terms of policy making. We have the regulatory requirements such as the Land Act, such as the Construction Act, which are in effect and doing just fine. But I would rather if they are able to implement on policies affecting finances. Again, coming back to finances, policies affecting finances, in this case, that even deal directly with the interest rates in the sector, then we're able to see more and more people, even at individual level, taking advantage of such policies.
Now, the cost of loan is set to go up following a decision by the central bank policymakers to raise the benchmarking lending by 50 basis points to 8.75%. The Monetary Policy Committee attribute the decision to tighten the monetary policy in order to sustain inflationary pressure, the elevated global risks, and the potential impact on the domestic economy.
Kenyans should expect the cost of borrowing to go up for the third time this year after the Central Bank of Kenya moved to hike the benchmark lending rate by 50 basis points to 8.75%, up from 8.25%. The policymakers say the decision was based on tightening the monetary policy to sustain inflationary pressures, the elevated global risks, and their potential impact on the domestic economy. The rate of inflation has jumped to a 7-year high of 9.6%, driven by increases in prices of food and fuel. Food inflation rose to 15.8% in October from 15.5% in September, largely due to prices of maize and milk following reduced supply attributed to depressed rains, and edible oils and wheat products due to the impact of international supply chain disruptions. Fuel inflation increased by 12.6% in October from 11.6% in September, mainly due to scaling down of the fuel subsidy, increases in electricity prices due to higher tariffs, and increases in transport costs. The ratio of gross non-performing loans to gross loans stood at 13.8% in October 2022 compared to 14.2% in August. Repayments and recoveries were noted in the building and construction, personal and household, tourism, restaurant and hotels sectors. With a year-on-year 18% increase in imports, lender says there is enough import cover. The CBK foreign exchange reserves, largely dollar-denominated, currently stands at $7.38 billion, enough import cover for 3.94 months. The economy is expected to remain strong in the last quarter of 2022, supported by the services sector despite subdued performance in agriculture and weaker global growth.
Now, the Ministry of Tourism will engage travel agencies in developing new tourist circuits and revamp existing ones informed by customer preferences and data. While addressing tourism stakeholders, Tourism Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza urged the Kenya Tourism Board to customize incentives targeting travel agencies that market the country's premium products to increase global visibility of Kenya's tourism vast portfolio.
According to the recent IATA Economics Aviation report released in September 2022, the travel and aviation industry has witnessed a continued recovery of passenger demand following the relaxation of mobility restrictions in major business and leisure destinations worldwide.
Kenya is at 62%, but we've seen that every month it's getting higher, and we see this on the inbound as well. Tanzania has recovered a lot faster.
To improve tourism earnings, the government will engage travel agencies in circuit development, marketing of signature experiences, as well as collection of data.
Katakan should also help us market our signature experiences. KTB should consider creating incentives for Kata members who go out of their way to aggressively market our signature experiences and unique prepositions.
We hope to work together to support that. We've heard the importance of this sector being SMEs, whom we really want to work with and grow tourism.
The government is seeking a public-private partnership to develop the tourism sector that is recovering from the covers of COVID-19 pandemic.
In an aim to eventually get to a Pan-African airline group, whereby African airlines can get together, put together their muscle, benefit from technical support for each other, trainings, opportunities to synergize networks so that every part of Africa is covered, so that you're not traveling from Africa to go to Europe to come back to a city in Africa. Use economies of scale in buying in order to save costs.
The government is optimistic that the code-share agreement between South African Airways and the Kenya Airways will promote intra-African travel. Europe and North America remain key tourist source markets for Africa, with Africa contributing a mere 12% to tourist inflows. Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Thank you, Regina, for that report. Now, Kenya has been encouraged to consider increasing cultivation of hybrid seeds that can withstand drought. Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa President, that is Agnes Kilabata, wants financial institutions to consider financing farmers to access appropriate technology, including clean planting materials, to mitigate against the adverse effects of climate change.
Financial institutions have been encouraged to consider investing more in the agriculture sector to increase production. Players in the agriculture value chain say there is need to finance small-scale farmers for them to afford and access technologies such as hybrid seeds to produce crops that are resilient to strengthen the country's food system. The players are also calling for investments in agriculture information technologies to ensure farmers can access markets easily by offering market dynamics information in real time.
The first year that we got engaged with ACF, we were able to move from 2 tons of nuts in a year to 3,000 tons in a year. And that is equivalent to about $300,000 in terms of money going to these farmers.
The government has been encouraged to consider increasing investments in infrastructure development to ease movement of agricultural produce from the farm to the market to reduce post-harvest losses that have been reduced farmers' earnings.
The government says it will complete 30 mega dams within the next 3 years. Water and Sanitation Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome says already feasibility studies are being carried in the regions where the dams will be constructed.
The Kenya Kwanza administration has earmarked construction of 100 dams across the country to show up agricultural production. In a bid to put an additional 3 million acres under irrigation, the government has promised to construct 100 dams mainly across arid and semi-arid regions. Water and Sanitation Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome now says the first 30 dams will be completed within 3 years.
In the presiding period, we will also be coming up and building medium-sized dams and then the small ponds. Obviously, I see lots of work there for engineers.
Wahome says local engineers will be involved in designing and construction of the dams, and local companies seeking to carry out dam projects should submit their competence to the engineering board for consideration.
The country is investing heavily in infrastructure, and the only sustainable way of doing this is if we involve our local engineers in the conceptualization of the projects, in the initial design and the implementation.
Their work has a direct and vital impact on the quality of life for all the people. Accordingly, the services provided by engineers require honesty, impartiality, fairness, safety, and welfare. In the practice of their profession, engineers must perform under a standard of professional behavior which requires adherence to the highest principles of ethical conduct.
This as EBK is calling for policy formulation that will ensure higher learning institutions get approval from the board before offering engineering courses.
So that when we go outside, not only in Africa, but the rest of the world, we can also work. Our universities can also have international recognition so that we can also attract international students.
We are here, we are going to meet as colleagues from Africa and see how we can build a team so that we approach this from a more wider perspective.
They say this will ensure the sector is well regulated and professionalism is upheld.
Value chain players in the agriculture sector want agriculture digitized to strengthen the country's food systems to lower food prices. Hannah Reid, Agriculture Program Officer at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, says digitizing agriculture is key in mitigating the effects of climate change on agriculture by mending the sector's value chain that has been affected by global fertilizer scarcity and high fuel prices.
Kenya is facing one of the worst droughts in 40 years that has seen over 3 million people in need of food aid. The food scarcity situation has further been compounded by the Russia-Ukraine conflict that has seen fuel and fertilizer prices increasing, making the cost of agriculture production out of reach for many small-scale farmers. Value chain players say there is need to strengthen the agriculture value chain and food systems through digital technology to expand critical services to smallholder farmers across the country.
Mercyco AgriFin focus specifically on smallholder farmers, working closely with private and public sector players to build digital solutions that we believe will improve the productivities, incomes, and resilience of smallholder farmers.
Digitization of agriculture services has been earmarked to address market failures that exclude smallholder farmers, particularly women, from access to investment services, markets, and support needed to increase productivity, income, and resilience in the face of the increasing risk of climate change.
What this shows is that there needs to be specific targeted activities to just support women to participate fully in the agricultural sector.
The government and the private sector have been encouraged to invest in technology tailor-made for women and other marginalized workers in the agricultural sector to boost production.
Now, the youth are being encouraged to embrace technical courses in technical and vocational education and training institutions to acquire skills that will help them start income-generating ventures. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogo says the informal sector has the potential to create millions of jobs.
Data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicates that the informal sector has been creating 90% of jobs in recent years. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu says the informal sector has capacity to create even more jobs if more Kenyans embrace technical courses offered in technical and vocational education and training institutions to acquire the requisite skills.
The system is being reformed to provide solutions for the runaway unemployment, which stands at approximately 40%. TVET has the potential to empower million youth with employable skills annually and to address the needs of the labor market.
He has pledged the government's support through creation of an enabling business environment for the youth to access and create job opportunities. He believes acquisition of technical skills in areas such as building and construction, engineering and manufacturing is key in driving Kenya's industrialization agenda.
Upon us as African countries to take up the challenge, because in Kenya we have said our educational system is such that we want more and more to have our people acquire the technical skills.
He made the remarks during the Africa Tech Challenge Season 7 award ceremony for students drawn from Kenya, Uganda, Egypt, Ghana, Zambia and Zimbabwe. Speakers said the forum was key in helping building the capacity of learners through internships and scholarship to study in China.
Well, that story brings us to the end of the bulletin this morning. Stay tuned for more after this short break we are coming back with in the headlines. But before that, I just want to remind you that stay tuned tonight, today that is, for the World Cup. Remember, World Cup Eco KBC and on Signet. The teams which are playing today, actually, African teams, Ghana and Cameroon, like I mentioned when we began, has the hopes of Africa in their hands. Ghana plays Portugal, and according to football pundits, or at least the ones I've talked to, they're saying that this is a match that looks like a Manchester United versus Arsenal. That is Thomas Partey of Arsenal taking on definitely Cristiano Ronaldo of Manchester United. So will it be a Manchester United versus Arsenal game, or what? Then Cameroon also taking on into the pitch today, versus Switzerland. So we want to see who will take the day. Remember, Africa has not registered any win, but we hope that today will be that day that Africans will actually be smiling. Cameroon President, the great Samuel Eto'o, has actually put pressure on the Cameroonians to actually deliver. So we are yet to see what's going to be unfolding. Ayeta and Stephanie, Cameroon, Ghana, what do you think for Africa today?
Cameroon, Ghana. I think I would go with Cameroon as my African team, because they have a strong foundation, and it's even been highlighted here in this daily that just showing the strengths that both teams have, that is Switzerland and Cameroon. Swiss came into the World Cup off the back of a quarter-final run at Euro 2020, while Cameroon also finished third at the Africa Cup of Nations. So I'm thinking Cameroon is pretty a good choice.
They're actually in the lineup, yeah?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for staying tuned. Stay with us. We're still back with more.
It weighs at 6.175 kilograms and stands just 36.8 centimeters tall. But while the FIFA World Cup trophy is not the biggest or heaviest in world football, it remains the most coveted. It is, as FIFA President Gianni Infantino says, a mythic object for players and for all football lovers. And it will remain the source of dreams for millions between now and the Qatar 2022 final on 18th December.
I was part of the team ilitumwa to take out Burhan. Nilikaa for 5 years, nika study the man. All I ask is you let me right my wrongs and give me an opportunity to bring Burhan down for good.
Na una hakika hiki kikosi chako kitaweza kufanya hivyo?
Yes, sir.
Hii kikosi yako kuna kina nani?
Senior Sergeant Farah, aka Stingray. Corporal Ibrahim, aka Mongoose. Corporal Katana, aka Panther. PC Kiambu, aka
Maliet.
PC Kibet, aka
University.
We do this for honor.
Yeah.
Our loved ones, our family, and our country. 1, 2, 3.
Singa no tamu uyudo.
Kuchemsha bongo.
Soda wow.
Hayawi huwa kinyang'anyiro cha kombe la dunia nchini Qatar cha ngwananga Novemba 20 hadi Disemba 18, huku timu 32 zikiwania taji. KBC Channel 1 inakupa fursa ya kutizama mbashara kipute hicho kutoka Qatar nyumbani kwako. Runinga ya KBC Channel 1 inakukaribisha kwenye kipindi cha Dunda Dunda Qatar.
Nakwambia kwamba baba, alama ya reli ni Dunda Dunda Qatar.
Na tunakuja nyumbani pale mtaani pale ambapo upo wewe mwenyewe.
Huku ukijishidia zawadi chungu nzima.
Hapa kumejaa vitu kocho.
Jongea. Shabiki kwenye Dunda Dunda Qatar.
Ukitazama unashinda.
KBC Channel 1, wenzio wa dhati michezoni.
Exactly 25 minutes to the top of the hour. You're still on Good Morning Kenya. We now just want to quickly get the account of Kenyans living in the US to just understand what basically this day means to them, and perhaps to just brush you off on what exactly you're talking about. It is Thanksgiving Day. This is a day normally marked on the last Thursday of the month of November, both in the United States of America as well as Canada. But why exactly is this day just commemorated annually, and why is it important? We link up with Kelleen Nakitare from California. Kelleen, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Kelleen, if you can get me, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
All right, so it is Thanksgiving. Basically, we have just talked about this particular day here in Kenya in our studios, and basically just want to get your account. This day marked on the 24th of, or basically on the last Thursday of the month of November. What does this day mean to you, Kelleen?
Personally, for me, it is just a day to reflect on the past events of the year and just what you're grateful for, and the different opportunities and the people that have been contributed to your life and your growth, and I believe that's kind of what it marks for almost all the Americans, where it's just a time that everyone comes together, even for families that live in different states, they all come together during this period, share meals, and just talk about their experiences and what they're really grateful for, and show appreciation for each other and being in each other's lives. So it's celebrated with a lot of feasting. And I know, like, okay, so on our end right now, it is still Wednesday night, so it is still the 23rd, which is called Drinksgiving. And Thanksgiving kind of just spills over to like several different things, just because it's the biggest holiday in the US. So it starts with Drinksgiving on the 23rd, and then it's Thanksgiving on a Thursday, and on Friday is Black Friday, and then we have Cyber Monday on Monday. So it is literally, people get like a whole week off just to celebrate this day, because it's really important to give thanks for all the good things that have happened throughout the year.
Well, you've mentioned, family, friends, relatives. Of course, this is why this day is marked anyway at the end of the day. You're a Kenyan based there in California in the US. So then is your family going to be coming down there, or how is it going to be looking like for you?
Well, in my case, I have Friendsgiving because a lot of my family is still in Kenya. So I just have my immediate family with me here, and we will celebrate with some friends. Usually if there's a lot of friends involved, they just kind of call it Friendsgiving as well. And we just share a meal and celebrate, because it's not always convenient for the travel. It is. And of course, also growing up in Kenya, the most important holiday felt more like Christmas. So it is. Hopefully, maybe next year we can make it happen, or years to come. But this year, I will just celebrate with my immediate family.
And besides, friends are also family in another light, the way you want to look at it as well. All right. Maybe
that is very true. I agree.
Yeah, I hear you. So maybe you can just tell us, at least also to just, brush our memory, or basically brush our, brains on this one. We know there's different kind of foodstuffs there. We have heard of cranberries, potatoes, stuffed bread. But what is just so peculiar about the turkey and it being the main meal on this particular day, Kayleen?
Actually, I will give you a fun fact first. I have two fun facts that I just learned today, that each year 46 million turkeys are cooked in the US. But majority of Americans actually dislike Thanksgiving dinners and the turkeys, and they just do it more as a tradition. That research that was done shows that 68% of Americans dislike the turkey and the different foods that are made for Thanksgiving. But just because it was started as a tradition where it was during the harvest, giving thanks for the good harvest, and so it's just marked. It's just more of that's just the appreciation of the company, not necessarily the food. So the turkey, and another fun fact is actually the turkey was not initially the Thanksgiving food. Like when Thanksgiving was started in 1621, that first Thanksgiving feast did not include turkey. So somewhere in between, they slid it in, and it just became like a tradition. And just that's the same way, like there's the different string beans or green beans casserole and the cranberry sauce and mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese have just become like a norm for traditional Thanksgiving meals. And people are slowly trying to break away from the norm, although the turkey will still just always be on the table. As much as it's not particularly, it is not as flavorful as other meals. I presume.
That's quite
I share that
interesting.
opinion with a lot of people. Yes.
That's quite interesting. I mean, you've just said 68% of Americans dislike the turkey, but just because it's tradition, then it's really is at the center of the meals. Well,
Yes,
I mean, what does
is.
this say about culture, tradition, regardless of the evolving kind of world that we are living in?
Oh yeah, I think it's like the saying that goes in Kenya, "Wacha mila ni mtumwa." I think it's just more of what it stands for, rather than exactly like people do not nitpick on like the particulars of the turkey and the flavors, or it's just more about what it stands for and what it represents to the people and how much culture is important and what people would take just to make sure that they preserve that family unit and that culture.
And I like how you brought that, that Swahili methali, as you say, mwacha mila ni mtumwa. I mean, it just shows you, regardless of what happens in this life in terms of evolution, culture and tradition is culture at the end of the day.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, well said. And also, I just came across a statement that said that this day is just, if not more important than Christmas. Is that really true? And if so, why?
It actually is. Now that you said that again, I'm sorry, I have a lot of fun facts for you today. This song, Jingle Bells, was originally a Thanksgiving song. It actually was just called One Man's Open Sleigh, and it was traditionally made for Thanksgiving period, because Thanksgiving has always been the most important period. Like, people will travel across the world, just across the different states, to just be there and celebrate with their families, the extended family for Thanksgiving, versus Christmas, where it's usually just the nuclear family, right? And then just because, especially in the westernized culture, Christmas is not necessarily what it is, especially like in the Kenyan culture, where it's more about Santa and gifts and just giving, versus about like celebrating the birth of Jesus. Versus Thanksgiving has no religious boundaries, because the US is very diverse, where people are trying to respect everyone's different beliefs and cultures. So Thanksgiving has no direct religion linked to it, or direct beliefs linked to it. So it makes it easy for everyone to kind of just celebrate together without trying to be sensitive of what different people believe.
Okay, well said. I hear you. And so then one would wonder, I mean, we're talking about a lot of eating, congregating as friends, family, relatives. You've talked about the potatoes there, the stuffed bread, the turkey, and you've given us why the turkey at the end of the day. But then, aside from eating, Kayleen, what else? What kind of activities come with this Thanksgiving Day?
Well, one major thing I know is usually there's always a football game. Football is kind of like rugby in Kenya. There's always a football game. So usually during Thanksgiving, people enjoy a football game together. Another thing is they also have a parade. Usually it's in New York, the Maize parade, and they will just have different bands and performers just matching and just commemorating this day. Besides that, I think mainly, when you say Thanksgiving, mainly those are the two things that would come up, because Thanksgiving is mainly associated with food, the Thanksgiving parade, and then of course, family and fellowship, and football. Yeah, football is big. I think it's the most common sport in the US. Yeah.
I hear you. Football is the most common sport, and of course, one of those activities expected to be taking center stage there. But for you, what will you be doing besides eating? With friends and family?
Goodness. Coincidentally, my birthday always falls around Thanksgiving. So we kind of just try to merge everything together and just make it like a more enjoyable experience. Right? So for this year, I'm honestly probably just going to try and enjoy the company of my friends and immediate family. We have nothing big planned out for this year. Maybe we'll plan better next year. But this year we were caught a bit off guard. We're still recovering from COVID. I'll use that as my excuse.
I mean, you'll plan better next year, so then you could have taken what perhaps you did last year to do this year in terms of activities, just do something different?
Well, of course, barbecuing is a must. We definitely have to barbecue, and cooking, and we already have prepared some dishes, but we kind of just do it Kenyan style. We can't, as much as it's culture, and fortunately sometimes we don't fully appreciate the culture. We've not grown up in it, so we made Kenyan foods instead. So we have samosas and biryani, and we're making viazi karai tomorrow, and we'll just choma nyama and just enjoy the foods that we grew up with, the foods that we don't get to enjoy every day because we don't have enough time. It's such a working culture where you don't have enough time to actually just look back and enjoy where you came from and what is appreciated at home.
Yeah, and I can tell you for sure, I love that. Even the fact that you were there, there's some cultures from Kenya that, you can't just do away with, and you really quite uphold them regardless of the place that you're that you're in at the end of the day. It's a good thing, Kaylin. It's really a good thing. All right, also, from history, we learned that this is one of those days that is really quite important, for United States of America as well as Canada, as you mentioned, dating back from 1621. Perhaps might you be in a position to tell us, maybe how different it is between Canada and US in respect to marking Thanksgiving?
Well, the major difference that I know is that Thanksgiving is actually in October in Canada. In the US, it is in November, but I thought the same. I actually thought that it was on the same day, but I found out that in Canada, they celebrate Thanksgiving in October. Mm-hmm. So that's a major difference. So it is still with the same purpose because it all happened around the same period, and it's just more, because it was a Native American holiday. I know for sure at first I saw that it was more of during the colonial period when there was, it was more about giving thanks for the territories that have been conquered. But then it more changed, it evolved more into a more positive holiday, a more positive festival. It was now giving thanks for the harvest and for the different accomplishments. I also know that for a fact, initially there was a period of time where President Roosevelt moved Thanksgiving to be the third Thursday of the month of November, and then because of how it affected everything, especially, and football teams complained about it as well, so they moved it back to the fourth Thursday of November. So that's probably the only major difference I have seen. The dates and the jumping back and forth with the inconsistency in terms of like what day it falls on.
Mm-hmm. So ideally, it just looks like the dates could be the major significance difference, but at the end of the day, the whole idea is the same, a time to just give thanks and be there together with friends, family, as well as relatives. So also, as you wind down, Kayleen, I mean, you're from Kenya, living there, but what would be your message even to just Kenyans who are equally marking this day together with you?
Is my message to the Kenyans in the diaspora or the Kenyans celebrating with me in Kenya?
Yeah, just Kenyans, whether in the diaspora, those here celebrating with you, or celebrating together, with Americans as well as Canadians in this particular important day. Because also at the end of the day, Thanksgiving, regardless of the history, it is a time to give thanks at the end of the day. So what would be your message, Kaylee?
I think my message would be it is important to actually set aside a day to just be grateful, because sometimes we take for granted a lot of the things that happen, and we think that life just has to just keep going. As much as we're in a fast-paced world and we make time to celebrate different things, I think there should actually just be a day where people can just come together and just show their appreciation for the different things. Because sometimes we don't have enough time, we don't get enough time, we don't have enough time to reflect and realize the different roles people have played in our lives. And we know that we're not islands, and we're all interconnected beings. So we all kind of work together to grow each other in some way. So there should just be a way that even if there is no holiday specifically designated for this in Kenya, I just hope that at least people can reach out on this day and just show the people in their circle how grateful they are for their existence and the difference they've made in their lives.
Well said, and thank you so much, just for your time and giving us your account, at least also making us know why this day is important and why it's always celebrated every other last Thursday of the month of November. Moreover, it's your birthday tomorrow, so it's also a good place for me to wish you and sing you a happy birthday. We wish you all the best, more life.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Have a blessed day tomorrow and to more life.
Thank you. You too. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday for me.
All right, so that has been Kayleen Nakitare, of course, from California. They're just giving us her account and basically why this day is very important, why Thanksgiving Day is an important day for Canadians, for those in the United States of America, why it's marked on the last Thursday of the month of November. And also, again, this is a good place for me to just let you in on some of these projects that perhaps we are seeing that is being done by the U.S. Embassy. For instance, we have a clear 8-minute clip on this one, and just again before we get to that particular clip, perhaps I can just inform you on some of these projects as well as programs that they have also tried to ensure they bring to the country, key among them being matters of health, security, trade, investment, education, and particularly when it comes to education, this is in line with the mentoring of female journalists. In fact, their latest program on this particular mentorship was launched on the 21st of October. This was in Maseno University in Kisumu, as well as Kibabii University in Bungoma. And the whole idea is just to look at some of these challenges that female journalists face in their line of work. And also on this account, that good number of them would be joining school, but towards the tail end and even towards their graduation, that number does not match the number that joins. So what normally happens in between, these are some of those issues that this particular embassy is just trying to look into, of course, partnering with the very well-known Kenyan journalists in terms of this mentorship program. And again, it's very important for me to also mention the $230 million support that was recently announced is in respect to food security. Of course, as a country, this is one of our biggest problems. Currently, we are reeling with the issues of food security as a country, and this is one of those things that the U.S. Embassy, together with the Kenyan Corporation are just trying to do to see how best they can alleviate the burden of Kenyans in respect to this. But also, let's quickly look at that particular clip in respect to what they're doing when it comes to mentorship of female journalists in the country. Watch.
For the mentees, you are welcome for this cohort, and all I can ask you is allow to be led, allow to be mentored for 1 year. It's a commitment. Get the best out of the best.
The program, as I was listening to, this is the first time I'm interacting with the program, but as I listen through, it's a great thing for the female mentees. It's very flexible, very interactive, and I like the element that it goes for a whole year. The fact that we've mentored 114 students and they've been successful in completing that mentorship program is a great thing. And we hope, as my colleague said, that let's continue supporting more and more and more and more, so that within the next 10 years, we could have built a critical mass of female mentees who can now themselves be mentors of other people without necessarily us going back and asking Andrew to give us support.
This project, I want to be very, very categorical in appreciating the facilitators and led by the embassy under the stewardship of Andrew. That is a very good thing that is going to go a long way in helping our young female journalists to get exposed. This provides an opportunity for our young girls, our young ladies for that matter, to get connections beyond their universities, because many times they sit in lecture halls and they fail to understand that we have opportunities out there.
Not because Madam Caroline or Madam Florence is your mentor, you're not able to talk to the rest. They are all welcoming, they are all your mothers, they're in different sections of the media industry. What stops you from knowing what an editor does? What stops you from knowing what a news anchor does? You have them all at your beck and call. And not only me, we have different mentors, mentees who are doing good. If you know Hibakside, she's a reporter at KBC. If you know Sheila Ngetich, she was a reporter at Switch TV and now she's in Citizen. We have Vivian Oresha, she has her own YouTube channel. We're doing great out here. You can do great. No one should tell you you're too young to move. You're not too young. I'm yet to graduate, but I'm already in the industry. What about you?
Like in journalism, we say when a story is good, it can never die. So the mentorship thing is good. That's why Media Council, IWAT, Journalists for Human Rights, everybody's doing something around mentorship. It seems to be a working thing, and it's not replacing training colleges. It's just a recognition that sometimes because of numbers, because of resources, students sometimes do not get the best from the training colleges. So that then the mentorship can supplement what they might have missed during their regular academic course. So it's not replacing academic teaching, it's purely supplementing what the academy is doing. And again, also aware that this is where journalism is going. Like I mentioned, journalism is not going to be in newsrooms. Journalism is going to be in your hands, in your room, doing your content. So if you are mentored and helped to pick up, then it will help. The courses we are doing are more than just journalism. We are now doing life-saving skills, mental health, financial literacy, personal branding, so that you can survive. Business, developing business plans, strategic plans. So the mentorship is not just about journalism alone. It's a big thing that wants to help you in a 360 manner. So we welcome you and thank the embassy for supporting IWAT, and also commit again once more that the council will continuously work with you, the embassy, and IWAT and other players, and obviously universities and training colleges, in whichever way we can support, so that then we make sure that journalism has a future, and journalism has a bright future, and not what people are talking about.
If there's anything I've learned in the 5 years that I've been a mentor of this program, is the speaking out. When we were speaking about women suffering in the media, reporting on politics, Caroline Wafula, we had gone to Hilda and we were there like crying, not knowing what to do. We were being sexually harassed by members of parliament. And Hilda encouraged us to talk about it. And when we spoke about it, we didn't know what to do. 2 years later, we get a phone call, I think from Rachel, Josephine, and Hilda, and they say, now you know what, we found something that you can do. It's happened to you, but you can help others not go through what you went through. And because of that, you can see what has come out of it. So one of the things that I've learned is the spirit of learning to speak out. If we don't speak out, then we are not able to find the solutions for you. And that's why we've been encouraging the mentees every time to raise their hands and speak out. Without speaking out, you'll never be able to find the solutions. We want to thank the US Embassy specifically for being very passionate and deliberate about ensuring that women in the media stay there, and not just as ordinary journalists, but actually journalists who rise to excellence. I am a product of the US Embassy mentorship projects and also programs and our Muro program. And you learn a lot out of that exposure. You meet other women who have made it. And because of that spirit, you are able to do it. And because you are empowered, I believe without that kind of exposure, I'll not be having so much to share. And I know so many of the mentees here, or mentors, are also products of that the US programs. This program has not just been for the mentees alone. We've also been mentored, and we've mentored each other. And it's been a spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood. All of us here have had our own struggles, because you can see most of us are in leadership. We've gone through difficult times, but we're able to talk to each other, call each other, and say, this is happening to me, what should I do? At Amweek, it was about winning elections. It's about pushing for agenda. And this is the pillar that I've been relying on when I worked at Amweek. I would tell them, I need this support, I need this and that. They will be there. So it goes beyond just mentoring the mentees, but also mentoring each other, being there for one another, walking the journey with ideas, and together we've achieved a lot.
So this profession is noble, and it's one that you have selected probably because it has a societal value. It's a way for you to serve your community, your county, your country. That is not to say that it is not without challenges. And unfortunately, journalism worldwide is a dangerous profession. That we have to keep in mind as we develop programs like this, which hopefully provide some tools to not only deal with the danger, but to deal with the everyday aspects that also aren't so nice.
of Cameroon is proud to be associated with the Cameroon football national team, the indomitable Lions that is flying high the African flag in the World Cup tournament. We shall be having a public viewing on Thursday, the 24th of November, of the Cameroon versus Switzerland game at the residence of the Cameroonian consulate in Runda, Nairobi. All Cameroonians residing in Kenya and heads of diplomatic missions are cordially invited to come and cheer the indomitable Lions to victory.
November like never before. Mouth-watering programs. Maza takes a break, and in comes football extravaganza. And a bouquet of the best of movies from the Orient lined up for you. Oh yes, November 2022 is like never before. Only on KBC Channel 1.
I want to show them my attitude today.
Ya bana, ni chuo kikuu cha burudani, mashavu.
Nyumbani kaumbea.
Burudani.
Twende tukacheze bango. Mama it takes two to tango.
Na interview kali kutoka Pwani.
Nakucheza nawe. Baby nimecheza nawe.
Na ukitaka tuiwashe leo.
Bwana, kila siku ya Friday ama Ijumaa ukipenda saa 3 hadi saa 6 kamili.
Fanya kama unacheza isoko.
Kumbuka hashtag Masha. Nyumbani kwa burudani. Usikose tegea show kali tokea pande za Pwani.
Exactly 4 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for us to quickly look at what's fresh off the press this Thursday morning. I start you off with a copy of the Daily Nation. Just quickly skimming through. Ruto Raila headed for a clash in IEBC official ouster bid. This is even as members of National Assembly, particularly those from the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, are set to sit today to hear these 4 petitions that were filed against the 4 IEBC commissioners. This is the vice chairperson there, Juliana Cherera, together with the 3 other commissioners. That is Geoffrey Langat, that is Irene Masit, as well as Wanderi and Justice Nyangaya. Some of those petitions that were filed include gross misconduct, as well as demonstrating open bias, and this was just after the election, during that after they attempted to just give altering results. But the event that this particular petition is approved, then it simply means that the president will form a tribunal to remove them out of office, of course, in a constitutional manner. But again, what is coming out is that yesterday, Azimio members of parliament hinted at boycotting this hearing, stemming the whole process and illegality, and accusing this particular committee of being misused to oust the 4 commissioners. So this looks more like a Ruto Raila kind of tiff there in respect to these members of National Assembly. So we wait to see how all this will pan out, given this particular hearings are set to commence today. Also, Raila set to meet Azimio governors, and this is in a plan to stem Ruto onslaught. This is a meeting that is expected to be happening tomorrow, which is on a Friday in Naivasha, and so an invite has been sent to all the 26 governors that were elected on the Azimio ticket, and this is the governors together with their deputies. Details are still scanty in respect to the agenda of this specific meeting, but largely once this particular details are made available, of course we'll be relaying the same to you, but this is expected to be happening tomorrow in Naivasha. And also, which way Jubilee Uhuru Party now seeks to chart a path whereby the former President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party is now walking a tightrope amid an onslaught by the UDA to capture its members, and this is even as officials of this particular party still insist that the party remains tightly in the Azimio fold. So we just look at which way this particular party. Also, this comes at a time where the deputy president has been on record saying that he's actually one of those who really were, at the forefront championing for members of parliament from the Mount Kenya region to vote for Kanini Kega, that is the former Kieni member of parliament in the East Africa Legislative Assembly slot. There are also a statement, as come out from this particular former member of parliament saying that the deputy president is actually the senior most politician from the region. And it's quite interesting to just look at what the Daily Nation has written here in respect to what Kanini Kega said. And this is also just him rallying, asking actually leaders from the region to rally behind, the deputy president. So really, as the word is going out, could there really be cracks in Jubilee? And perhaps what does also this mean for the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the chairman of chairperson of this particular fold, that is the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party, where Jubilee is actually a party within this particular fold. And again, you can also take note that in the constitution, a former president is not supposed to be an official of a political party 6 months after the election. So in the event that this 6 months lapse and within what is in the constitution, so that then the former president does not become the chairperson of this particular fold, what will this mean for the Jubilee Party at the end of the day? And lastly, before I toss it over to Stephanie, we have not recommended maize import. This is what the Agricultural Ministry is now saying. There had been concerns on the mumness of this particular ministry, much as the words went out in respect to what the trade CS talked about just over the weekend, which has caused quite the uproar there in respect to the GM maize. But going by what we have here is that the ministry is now saying that it is assessing the country's food situation, and this is to determine the deficit, if any, before actually issuing an advisory on quantities required to meet that particular shortfall. Because also there had been concerns that if our farmers have this particular maize and they're planning to release it to the market, so then why will the country be importing? And if at all we need to import to bridge the food security gap, then it needs to be the exact deficit, so that then you don't do this at the detriment of our farmers. So that is a statement coming there from the Ministry of Agriculture. Steph.
Yeah. All right, so let me take you through some of the news in the People Daily. In the front page, we have Ruto faces revolt in his staff on maize, and the leaders are basically saying that the leaders and farmers in the president's backyard are ganging up, saying that this is not right. They are opposing the planned importation of grains, arguing that the government should instead buy from local growers in a rare rebellion from his traditional political base. And some of the leaders that have been mentioned as the rebels MP Samson Cherargei, we have Ken Lusaka, Didmas Barasa, and Abraham Kirwa. This rebels, as has been said here, have also threatened to impeach the trade CS, that is Moses Kuria, following this case on importation of maize. So we are yet to see how that will pan out ultimately. So another story still making the front page: parents' headache over long holidays. The students closed school starting from yesterday, and some even today, and they're closing for a 2-month holiday, and this is the longest holiday that has been witnessed since 2 years ago when COVID hit the country. And now they're trying to just replace that, now that the time has been recovered, if I may put it that way, the 9 months that they were out of school during 2020, the COVID period. So now it's being recovered. And also something that the parents are complaining about on Marty's School is that the school fees has increased or will increase next year with the loans, with the fee subsidy being dropped. That is the COVID-19 fee subsidy, and parents are also have been complaining that school principals have been taking bus loans and imposing burdens on them. So what the PS is saying is that the school principals have been banned from taking loans to buy these buses. The PS said school principals would be held accountable of any financial transactions made in school. That is on matters education. Something else making news over here is that Judge Kinoti, the former DCI boss, his men have been shuffled in a major purge. Perceived allies of former DCI chief moved to station outside Nairobi in shake-up. And what the current boss is saying is that he's in the process of recruiting 50 specialized officers from the General Service Unit and the Anti-Stock Theft Unit skilled in the use of firearms. The requirements are that the officers must have also served for a minimum of 5 years and must not have any disciplinary case for the last 3 years. That's about it. And just the last story for me to mention is on the Star right here with me. And Raila is in trouble as Mudavadi moves to unite Western. Yesterday, the Prime Minister, that is Musalia, met 35 MPs from both sides of the political divide in a strategy meeting that heralded his efforts to galvanize the region and grab it from Raila. And this strategy, according to this article, says that he can use the region to bargain with the President William Ruto in 2027 or consider his own stab at the presidency. So this comes almost immediately after the ODM Deputy Party Leader Wycliffe Oparanya, one of Raila's strongest political pillars who led the Azimio campaigns in the vote-rich area, dropped Azimio Party, saying he was done with Raila after sensing some betrayal in the region. And one of the reasons for this is that he felt that why wasn't any Luya leader included in the East African Legislative Assembly. So there is trouble somewhere there in the Azimio Party, and we are yet to see what the ODM leader will do about this. Those are some of the stories in the Star and the People Daily. Marie.
Yes, I have the Standard newspaper with me, and in the front page is Inside Ruto's Team's Radical CBC Option. So this story is touching on the task force that has been going around collecting views from Kenyans about the CBC curriculum, remembering that a lot of questions have been raised in terms of how its implementation should be done, and even parents talking about the workload. So some of the information coming out is that there's going to be some radical changes to the CBC. The system stays, but some radical changes, including from what the Standard newspaper is highlighting here, where the learners take 2 years in pre-primary, 6 years in primary school. The rest is 3-3-3. That will change. That is what they're proposing. That is could change to a new one of 2 years in pre-primary, 6 in primary 2, 2, 4, and 3 in the rest of the calendar. So that is a story that is being highlighted there. Some changes coming, proposed changes, that is, with the CBC curriculum, but not necessarily the system changing. So that's a story in the Standard newspaper. Remember that while setting up the team, the president asked the committee to suggest how best CBC can be implemented in a manner that addresses the challenges that have actually dogged it, including the issue of whether the grade 6 should transition to high school or they should remain in their primary school premises. So that is also being highlighted here. And chances are, if they're going to adopt the new way of implementing CBC in terms of the number of years that the learners are going to take in the CBC system, then that would mean that the grade 6 pupils will not transition to junior high, that is in secondary schools, but will stay in their respective schools where they are right now. So those are some of the proposals that are being mulled over in as far as the task force is concerned. Now, moving on to another story, a hearing of petition against 4 IBC commissioners to kick off today. The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee will be listening to the petitions against the 4 IBC commissioners, and this is in regards to the 9th August polls results. Remember that these commissioners did actually differ with the chairman, that is Wafula Chebukati, over the results. So that in itself, made the Kenya Kwanza members of parliament feel like they should not hold office. So that is a story that we'll be following for you today, even during our news bulletins. Remember that the petition starts today. And the petition filed separately by Republican Party, Reverend Nduga Thumbi, Geoffrey Langat, and Jeffrey Owor argue that the 4 have no legitimacy to hold their current positions. Yeah, the petitioners want Parliament to recommend formation of a tribunal by President William Ruto to remove the 4 from office. So that is the story in this standard. But meanwhile, the vice chair, that is Cherera, Juliana Cherera, has actually moved to court to stop, she was given 4 days? The 4 days timeline. She's trying to say that the 4 days timeline to respond to the petition against her is actually not enough. And so that is also a story being covered here in the Standard newspaper. Cherera going to the court to, ask for more time to be able to respond to the petition. Also, a story that has been touched by my colleagues, Maize Imports, MP split over plans to oust Kuria. So Pokot South Member of Parliament, David Pokosing, is actually leading in terms of collecting signatures to oust the CS Kuria out of office, mainly because of the issue of maize importation. Remember that the CS Moses Kuria said that 10 million bags are already, duty-free. 10 million bags of duty-free maize will be imported into the country. So that is also a story in the Standard newspaper. Now, moving to another story, and this one is actually in sports. Cristiano Ronaldo, I've been told by one of my colleagues that is no longer with Manchester United. But yes, we still look at Ghana versus Portugal as Arsenal versus Manchester United. So there, Ronaldo out to impress in Portugal's first game against Black Stars. Ghana faces an uphill battle to make it through to the knockout stages. And so we hope that even in this particular games today, Cameroon versus Switzerland, Ghana versus Portugal, that actually Africa will be having a smile on our faces today. So another kind of not very happy story, or at least not impressive, is Kenya staring at a possible ban. And this is as far as athletics is concerned. I know Kenya is at the brink of being kicked out of an international athletics competition over rising doping cases among her athletes. The World Anti-Doping Agency, that is WADA, and the Athletics Integrity Unit, AIU, will hold a meeting tomorrow in Monaco to discuss Kenya's athletics fate. So that is a story that our sports team will be following up, and it could be a sad state of affairs if Kenya was to be banned in as far as athletics is concerned, because what is athletics without our athletes? And Kenya is the home of athletics. So that will be a story that our sports team will be actually following up for you. So thank you so much for keeping it Channel 1. We still have much more coming up in just a short while. Doreen and Stephanie will be bringing you the entertainment segments, and stay tuned for that. So I want to leave you for now, but I'll be back later on. Remember, today is Thanksgiving Day being celebrated in America and Canada, but even here in Kenya, we have so much to be grateful for. This far God has brought us. And so I want to take a break for now. Remember that World Cup, Eco KBC, you can watch it on Signet. Ghana versus Portugal, Cameroon taking on Switzerland. Who will take the day? That will be what we'll be looking out for today. So thank you so much. I leave it now to my colleagues to continue.
We don't even take a break. We are back just like that. Time for our second conversation of the day. And of course, being a Thursday, Matters Entertainment take center stage. We just want to get right into that. My guests are already here. And to my extreme right, that is Liboy, who is an artist. I should call you a contemporary. Is that correct? Contemporary?
I'm an artist who does African contemporary music.
All right,
yes.
All right. You are priming me on this one, I can tell you for sure. Also, right next to her is Kombora Evans, who is a guitarist.
It's Komora.
Komora.
People always butcher my name. I don't know why.
I'm so sorry. I mean,
but it's also a unique name.
It's Komora, not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. let me not castigate. Let me just.
Yes, please don't crucify me. Do not.
I won't.
Thank
Sisterhood. I would do nothing. But you are here with your tool of trade.
I am here with my tool of trade.
Yes.
And yeah, it's always there with me.
It's always here with you. Yes. But let me start with you, Liboy. You have said you are an African
contemporary artist.
What does that even mean first?
It means it's music that is traditional or folk music, but then with a blend of popular African genres. So it's more like it's just an upgraded traditional kind of feel.
Traditional, so you're still sticking to culture, tradition,
yes,
but just with some form of modernization.
Yes. So in a way that cuts across, someone from this generation can listen to, and also our
and you know, over time we keep saying that muziki ya zama zile ndizo muziki. So you're trying to also match as we're in this generation, trying to also make those who will come after you.
Yes, and also because I believe in my culture. I really love my culture, and I feel like Africa is very rich, and so I just try to tell people to stick to their roots, because there is so much happening and it's very easy to get lost. So I just be true. It sets you apart from the rest. That's who you are. It sets you apart. So yeah.
Today is a day of culture. I'll come to you, Evans. Okay, just allow me to use Evans. Let me not butcher. I'll come to you momentarily, but I mean, today is a day of culture. Just earlier, we were having a conversation with a lady from California, Kayleen Nakitare there. Today is a day of Thanksgiving, a day normally that it's commemorated every last Thursday of the month of November. And she also really touched on the issue of culture and tradition. So it really looks like, particularly also just as Africans, we really need to be embracing who we are, much as we would adopt, but not at the expense of our own roots.
That's true. You look like you want to say something.
Yeah, you do.
Oh yeah. I am a strong believer of culture. Africa is the cradle of all human beings. We all come from here, and we left with those cultures to take them elsewhere. And being the mother of all people in the world, that means let's maintain what's actually supposed to be here. We have our own ways, our own food, our own clothing, our own colors, our own music.
Personality,
if we lose that,
just vibe.
Yes. Someone said you can even be somewhere in the States, for instance, but you can't at times quite tell who's Kenyan, who's Nigerian, who's Ghanaian.
Like you're not one. And you're so happy to see each other. It feels like you've known each other from before. But I think it's just the aspect that we're all Africans, and we are people who, there's just this connection that we all have. That really is important, and to me it really counts, and it matters a lot. So there is something that we have, and regardless of whatever might come, regardless of whatever we will conform to, we have to just stick to what, to who we are. Yeah, it has to go back to who we are.
And that's what your music propagates at the end of the day.
Yes.
I mean, Evans, coming to you as a guitarist, what role do you really play in this?
Hey, Liboy, what role do I play?
I want you to tell us.
Okay, I am the rhythm maker. I think I form the bedrock of the music that we create, and she's the melody. This one here.
So inaanzia hapa kwanza?
I can start from anywhere.
Oh, it starts from anywhere.
But I come with the bedrock, and she's on top of it. I think that kind of forms the perfect blend, and that's why it actually works. Because I play this part, and she plays that other part, and now combining them together, it works.
So everyone brings their strengths.
Everybody brings themselves.
Themselves and whatever it is they're good at the end of the day. How long have you been doing this together?
Together, how long has it been? It's been 3-4 years.
Since 2020.
2020?
This is
during the
2
COVID
years.
time. Yeah.
During the COVID.
Yes.
So COVID birthed.
Actually, COVID birthed. It's a COVID baby.
COVID birthed, this collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah. Quite interesting. Your EP, or maybe should I start with your latest single, Ukweli? Tell us something about this particular.
Ukweli talks about truth, and it was actually the first track to come out because it's when we talk about the human nature, talking about truth is very vital, because especially when we're talking about human nature and healing at the same time, because when we start to live in the truth, when we start to acknowledge the truth, then healing begins. So that's why it was the first track to come out of the whole EP. But it just talks about, truth, embracing truth, and that wanaopigania haki hao ndio washindi. So, it just, it's more like me telling people, acknowledging the fact that you're not okay, or acknowledging the fact that this is happening, it becomes easier for you to know the next move. So when you start to accept the truth, the rest is figured out, or the rest will just happen eventually. Yeah.
So the first step is begin by acceptance.
Accepting the truth, yes.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And I want to also pick your brains on this one, Komora. Oh yeah, I did get it right. I didn't call you with the wrong name.
Yes.
I'd want to pick your brains on this one, because I also just saw you really agreeing with what Liboy is saying, particularly when it comes to acceptance. And you realize also in this industry, there's quite a lot of stories surrounding lack of proper acceptance. That's why you'd hear someone purporting to be who they are not.
Oh yeah.
Because of fame. So now you want to act like you're not really that person, but you just for the sake. Exactly. Yeah. So I want to pick your brains on that. But before we get to do that, we want to take a very quick breather on this one. But we recall with plenty more on this conversation. So stay with us.
It weighs at 6.175 kilograms and stands just at 6.8 centimeters tall. But while the FIFA World Cup trophy is not the biggest or heaviest in world football, it remains the most coveted. It is, as FIFA President Gianni Infantino says, a mythic object for players and for all football lovers. And it will remain the source of dreams for millions between now and the Qatar 2022 final on 18th December.
I was part of the team ilitumwa to take out Burhan. Nilikaa for 5 years, nika study the man. All I ask is you let me right my wrongs and give me an opportunity to bring Burhan down for good.
Na una hakika hiki kikosi chako kitaweza kufanya hivyo?
Yes, sir. hii kosi yako kuna kina nani? Senior Sergeant Farah, aka Stingray. Corporal Ibrahim, aka Mongoose. Corporal Katana, aka Panther. PC Kiambu, aka Maliet. PC Kibet, aka University. We do this for honor. Yeah. Our loved ones, our family, and our country. 1, 2, 3.
Singa no tamu yudo.
Kuchemsha bongo.
Soda wow.
Welcome back to the program, and we definitely appreciate your valid company. We continue our pace with this conversation, still holding court with my guest here, that is Liboy, who is an African contemporary artist, as well as Komora Evans. I will say your name until I get it.
You got it right.
So let me just pick up with you on that one, you know, where we left off, that idea of acceptance, and we're trying to tie this down to culture and basically also this industry that we are talking about. Where do we normally miss it? Why is there so much pressure?
It's not really pressure, really. It is just, basically people are just acting.
There's no pressure, you say?
There's pressure,
Yeah.
but it's not necessary.
Oh.
You see, if you're true with yourself, let me see, I'm a Pokomo man. Yes, I'm from the coast region, and that is me. If you accept that, first of all, that you speak Bantu, you're an African man or woman, it all starts there. You don't have to conform to anyone or to explain yourself to anyone. The Chinese come here and just speak the Chinese, right?
I can tell you for sure.
To devise, you know, they just say anything.
I mean, you go to
They don't
the
even care.
construction sites, like Wajipange.
They don't care about you, by the way. It's the same. It's that pride. Speak about just being pride of who you are.
Yeah.
You speak that language. Speak that language. If you wear this dress, wear like that. You know, I think it all just starts there. From there, everything else comes flowing in. Yeah. Yes.
And I want to agree with the fact that this, of course, cuts across regardless of industry. But I can tell you for sure that those in the media space, and this also is intertwined with music because you are a lot in the media space.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more profound. Is it because it's highlighted more, just because you're more in the limelight?
Well, I think it's because of the business side of it.
Just the business.
It has really covered up the authenticity of us. If we bring out we and we market that, it will still pick, it will still sell. If you go to Uganda, they speak Luganda. If you go to TZ, they speak Swahili. Bongo is also Swahili, right?
Yeah.
And it is still selling, right? So.
In fact, I like what you're saying, that if you go to Uganda, they'll speak Luganda.
Luganda, yeah.
You go to, even their movies.
Even the movies are in Nigerians.
The accent never dies.
They don't care about what you're going to say.
You know, and you see, just you listening to you say that actually makes a segue for my next question, because then there's also been a lot of concerns, and I also want you to respond to this one, Liboy, as well, but also there's been a lot of concerns with respect to our music.
Yeah.
It's like we would say we are losing our culture. That's why I began by earlier on saying, even I was telling Liboy that you realize music from back then, even our own Kenyan music, as time goes, we tend to clearly continue appreciating more of that compared to what we are currently having. You don't find this in Nigeria, you don't find this in Tanzania. It's the same. What really can we do to just stick to our own then?
The thing is, we should stick.
Let's stick. Please, there's no like explain. What should we do?
You just
stick.
Because what's happening is we tend to copy
a lot.
Yeah, because we are consuming a lot of content from outside, which is okay, but us sticking to it is what actually should just happen.
So how do we stick then? Okay, we need to stick.
Just true.
For example, you just put something small here.
Okay.
Instead of calling yourself, my name is Sui Sharon Ho. Call yourself, my name is Liboy. You're an African.
Call yourself.
Sharon is not your name. Your name is Liboy. And you know, my name is Komora. I love that name. It speaks about me. Because you know, what's your name, sir? My name is Komora.
You start with your African name.
It makes me just stand like, oh, Mr. By the way. He's, you know, he's in it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah, but you see, again, a lot is happening, and we tend to copy so much from each other. If I stay with you for a couple of time, maybe a couple of days, I might have a trait that you have. We might end up being the same. See, that's the same thing as adapting. Couples wakikaa pamoja for long. See, that's what happens. Kufanana, that's the thing. So we listen, we consume a lot of content from outside, which is okay, but then it somehow just changes who we are. We adapt to some things, and then it becomes easy for us to lose our authenticity, to lose our originality. And we can see it through our music, maybe even how we dress, how we talk, the accents hata zinaenda zikichange. So it becomes really, really easy to have an identity because we keep losing it. Yeah.
But I can tell you for sure we need not do that at the expense of our own. There's just something about originality.
Yes.
There's something the media needs to understand.
Okay, tell us, please.
You guys play a very big role in influencing whatever us as Kenyans consume. You have, I think, the biggest stake because people are always on the TVs, watching TV stations, or maybe Kwasimu or the radios. Whatever you guys put out there, it has a direct impact. Whatever people are going to be or going to think like. Yes.
Media, just as you know, the role sums up shaping the agenda.
Yes.
And you know, people have also really cast aspersions on the media that we're playing a lot of Nigeria and Bongo, and on the flip, the media in its own defense has said that your content is not.
Really?
There is content.
There is a lot of content. If you go dig, if you actually do good, like if you just go dig enough, you find that there's so much content in like you have no idea.
But there's also gatekeeping. There's also gatekeeping because even for us creatives, you need to know someone for you to get something.
That has been a big problem in the music space.
It is.
It's not changing with time. I mean, you sit with artists from way back. They will tell you, you know those cassettes, because then they would use cassettes. Right now, at least everything's on the flash. They'll tell you, we'll carry these things, go down to every media house. But because that particular DJ doesn't know you, because you don't have contacts with the producer, for instance, or director, then where to?
This actually met one of the Lesmanika band guys. He was actually walking down the street. I was like, this guy is still just here struggling.
Years later.
Lesmanika. It was one of the Kenya's #1 hit songs. They actually broke up because they were struggling. Unfortunately. At least it was actually very, very sad. I can scare by this. Things like by the music ilikuwa mahali ikakuwa too hard for us. So have to look for jobs out there.
Look for something else to do.
Yes. And this is the case which actually put us on the map, Manzi. So songs like time was, you know.
Yeah, very true.
So
and stuff. I say what how. It's just too crazy.
So media also has a role in this. If you give us good content for us to consume, which is actually out there.
It's actually out there. Because
we are not deficient in terms of content.
No.
We just need to find the correct
But like unaona venye ukihakisha this radio, there is this music you're listening to. Ukihakisha this one, the same music you're listening to. Imagine now if you're listening to the same music, but one that also idasifia our culture. It becomes easier for people to consume that. We grow knowing that this is now what we have, this is who we are. So the whole narrative changes because what we consume pia has an impact on how we operate as a society. Even.
For instance, do you know the late Ayubo Gada?
I don't.
That's crazy. Ayubo Gada, this guy actually played on the Super Bowl. Outside there, he was actually very, 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 very big. Ayubo Gada. Okay, do you know Macadam?
Please educate me.
These are people who have been blazing our flag outside there. Hata mwenye hawajui hapa Kenya. He's traveled the world so much, playing his nyatiti. Nyatiti. Yeah, this guy. Everywhere. Swiss, Latvia, wapi. People know us because of him. But here in Kenya, wenyewe,
it's not appreciated.
Hajulikani.
So we are also doing disservice to our own.
So if you take the initiative of playing the authentic music from here, they'll get known.
People will consume it. They will know there is such a thing. There is such music.
I mean, I'm just learning about these names here. I mean, we don't know everything. We learn every day. Anyway.
That's true. That is very
And I mean,
true.
also here we're learning that it's a matter of whatever you put, especially as media, you have that particular role. So you will inform what people will like or hate, depending on what you put out there for them. You began playing guitar in Form 4, and I was just telling you how, you know, usani. I'm telling you, speak to artists, and I keep saying art, you know, it cuts across, not just music, but art as a whole. People in the arts business start way early. But for some reason, it just doesn't really look like it pays off for a good number of them over time. You've just talked about Les Wanyika as the band. But you started playing guitar as early as then. How has the ride been for you?
Hey, it's been waves up and down.
Now
and
you see.
It's been waves up. I think you have to really love the craft before you even start.
You have to love the craft, eh?
You're gonna have to know that.
Don't go there for money.
I think even yourself, you actually go here, right? Just started somewhere, so up and down. Now feeling nervous kidogo, but now you're here right now, right?
Yes. It's the ride as well.
The ride.
It's been a ride.
It's the climbing, actually. Happiness is up for climbing.
Climbing up. I think if you just learn how to go through all those steps, at some point, it just gives at some point. You can ask her as well. She started somewhere.
Since 2014?
Since 2014, yes. Of course, in high school, I used to sing, but then it became, I was more out there after high school. That was in around 2014. And I started singing, but then I was in an all-girl band. And tulikuwa na mashida kama
kawaida.
Most bands they really don't stay. Most bands, it takes the grace of God.
It becomes it's very hard if you don't share the same objectives,
the same vision.
The same vision. It becomes really hard. But then now after that, I decided to just be a solo artist, and it's been to sing to journey. Yes. It's not been a smooth ride. I don't think anyone has any smooth ride in whatever they do.
And I can tell you for sure, the beauty of this life is when you look back and you realize all this, through all this tumultuous waves happening, that mwisho wa siku nilifika. Doesn't really make it at the end of the day.
And you know, by our culture teaches us, if you actually go to African principles zetu, hard work, resilience, being honest with yourself, they're all part of the culture. So if you leave your culture yako, you can start getting distracted, you just give up easily. People used to really stay kitambo, unafanya kazi, unavumilia mpaka mwisho, you know? Ilikuwa part of teachings since kumdongambua, hard work pays, do your best, keep on pushing.
But also it's just remembering the reason why you started.
Exactly.
It's just remembering why you started. If at all it's something you really believe in and you really want to achieve it or want to do it, then you'll just keep going regardless of the challenges you'll come across.
Well said. I mean, just also looking at why you started and the kind of impact that you're making. So even if it looks like it's not coming together, at some point, imagine.
At some point, it gives something.
It just has to. It has to give.
Lazima ijipe.
Okay, before I let you, do something for us, I also just want to pick what, from both of you, what really keeps your ground? Because as you've said, and we will agree, it cuts across every industry, but there's some industry that just so profound because they're so much into the limelight, like this kind of industry. And giving up sometimes could be like, wow, me, but they have tried. It's so easy to throw in the towel sometimes, some of the spaces. But what keeps you ground, Komora? as an artist?
Hey, personally, it's the very beauty of life that you're experiencing life in the first place.
Yeah.
You are living it, right? How you act by day. You're actually living every bit of it is actually part of life. And also that you have people who look up to you. Like for me, I'm a firstborn. You know, the people who actually look up to me for guitar playing. I have a responsibility for the people behind me coming. So if I give up, they'll be like, by the way, this guitar thing doesn't really work. If I give up after coming this far, they'll be like, it's like, basically connected the sense of responsibility that you have to really do your part. So that like the guys coming after you, they actually see the need to actually keep on going. Yes. For me, it's mostly of a moral responsibility.
Moral responsibility. Looking at those that really need to see you believe.
Yes.
And keep holding on regardless.
Yes.
What's this for you?
For me, I'd say it's just the ability to express myself and to express it using the capacity that I have. The abilities also that I have, which is maybe through writing music, singing, film, maybe journalism. It's just, for me, it's that storytelling ability, and the fact that by doing that, I try to define freedom in my own ways, and I believe that I also impact, or like I inspire other people to do the same thing. For me, that's just it.
I want us to do two things before we exit this space. Talk about your EP State of Being and let you do your thing in terms of that song that you'll play for us. That's why that's why we have you here. So before that, you actually went to music school.
Yes.
And also I'd want to just pick your brains on this one because again, oftentimes we've talked about those in the arts. Something that is just an exit strategy. You either went and did medicine, it didn't work. You did banking, didn't work. You did media, didn't work. Then you realize, wait a minute, kumbe naeza ngadimba kwa shower. So you can just try this thing. Ikijipa sawa, ikikosa, well, we'll see. Neza soma line mbili tatu. I can actually do theater. I can do acting, for instance. But talk to me about the importance of actually studying for this craft.
It is very important. Very
Demystify this thing that we keep saying at
It's very important because now you are familiar with your craft. You understand it very well. You start looking at it differently now. It becomes more than just talent. It becomes more than just maybe music. It now becomes art and business in it. So it becomes a very bigger thing. And it's very important because at least ukienda play sata, you have something to put on the table. Because you have the knowledge and skills to go about it. You have knowledge and skills to go about it. So
I hear you. You want to quickly add on that?
I, on the other hand, didn't go to any music school. I'm a self-taught guitarist.
But the thing is, you taught you had to learn something. That's the point.
Like the other point is that you have passion which actually drives you. The passion is still there. Like you have gone through all these things. With passion, you can actually be able to achieve anything you put in your mind.
And something else, you get challenged. It opens up your mind.
Of course, Zico. Zico.
It opens up your mind.
I hear you. I mean, there's always a place of the talent, experience, education.
Exactly.
All these things work together. Cocktail of different things to make you who you are. Director is screaming to my ear, we have to exit, but we can't do this without you doing something. Just show us your craft.
So we'll do a song from State of Being, an EP that came out 2 weeks ago. State of Being talks about the different states we're in as human beings in our search for paradise or freedom. So it's basically just telling people to pause, take a step back, reflect, and then, now go carry on. Carry on. But it's more of mental wellness, actually.
Okay. All right, so do your thing.
Udajikaze.
Nyumbani kutafuta hela kile unacho imani, kutafuta ungama kila siku kujikaza, kutafuta ungama watoto watavanini kutafuta ungama kila siku kujikaza kutafuta ungama.
I can't strike those notes to save my life, and so I will not attempt.
You know, I think everyone can sing.
Everyone can sing, but not everyone can sing.
Okay, true.
You know? True. But thank you so much. That was lovely.
Thank
that
you
was
so much.
Great.
Thank you.
Definitely also appreciate you just for coming and talking to us about your journeys. I'm a firm believer that journeys actually go a long way to inspire, regardless of the space that you're really conversing around. So nonetheless, Asante sana.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been speaking to Liboy, who's an African contemporary artist, and right next to her is Komora Evans, who is a guitarist. Of course, this puts a cap on the second conversation, but plenty more coming away after this breather. Stay with us.
I was part of the team yenye ilitumwa kutake out Burhan. Nilikaa huko 5 years, nika study the man. All I ask is you let me write my homes and give me an opportunity to bring Burhan. Down for good.
Na una hakika hiki kikosi chako kitaweza kufanya hivyo?
Yes, sir.
Hii kikosi yako kuna kina nani?
Senior Sergeant Farah, aka
Stingray.
Corporal Ibrahim, aka
Mongoose.
Corporal Katana, aka
Panther.
PC Adhiambo, aka
Mandiet.
PC Kibet, aka
University.
We do this for honor.
Yeah.
Our loved ones, our family, and our country. 1, 2, 3.
Deliver bidhaa kama kawa kuna maswali.
Singa no tamu uyudo.
Kuchemsha bongo.
Soda wow.
flow. Back to back, baby, you kill the show. Worldwide Maize International. Switch it up on them, hitting on the low. Nobody messing with the flow. No stop, yeah. And you know she got a home. Worldwide Maize International. When you control me, control me. Oh, when you control, na na na. When you control me. Worldwide Maize International. Dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Another dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Another dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? You wanna ginger, yeah. If you wanna chill with a winner, pull up on a nigga, nikuonyeshe maisha, yeah. Nitahakikisha usitokuliza. Anywhere you wanna be, baby, I'm ready to go. Sema tuanzie Paris ama twende Tokyo. When you control me, control me. Oh, when you control, na na na. When you control me. Worldwide Maize International. Dimension.
That is Claston Vital or Vital. He will clarify that, but he is here in studio and about to talk to us about his musical journey, the challenges, you know, being an upcoming artist, if at all he is an upcoming artist. Thank you for tuning in. This is still Good Morning Kenya Entertainment Thursday, and it is Thanksgiving Thursday. Karibu sana, Vital.
Okay,
is
thanks.
it Vital or Vital?
It is Claston Vital.
Vital, okay. So, happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, thanks.
What are you grateful for, Nini, this year? Because in the US, they're celebrating Thanksgiving, and we are also celebrating it with them up in Kenya, and we have some turkey going on at our studio. But what are you thankful for?
Me, I'm faithful and thankful for Thanksgiving that's going to happen next month. No?
Okay, so you're grateful for...
Of course, yeah.
For life?
For life.
Okay, who is Claston?
Claston Vital is artist, started to sing 2019. He came from Kakamega. Music journey has never been easy, you know, like can go street like Kwasol, and then we make money to go to see the producer make song. So journey has not been easy, but tunangana.
Okay, the journey has not been easy, but and you're so chilled out. The glasses.
Really? Unaongea na sauti.
Inaongea nini about artists na glasses?
Glasses. Glasses man, they like lazima tukipika look with because glasses.
Ni look, si ati studio lights ni mingi ni.
Ni look.
Oh, okay. Hebu tuambie about your song Shaku Shaku, your new song. Umesema Amina kidogo anakuchanganisha.
By the Amina anachanganya sana. Shaku Shaku is all about Amina. Dem like tumesifia dem kwa that song, like mambia dem Amina venye yako like mrembo. Yeah, it's a pretty woman, like ana vibe and ako na psyche power, you know. Kama hivyo like sasa tunasifia Amina for that song.
So Amina is Amina a real person ama anyone can be Amina, bora ngoma imekubamba?
Yeah, any lady you are outside, you are listening to that song, you are Amina, of course, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sasa tuambie about your collab. Amina umefanya collab na
Madini Classic.
Yeah, hebu tuambie about your collab. How did you guys mliamua mkapatana aje pamoja mkaona tuna vibe tutoe ngoma?
Manze, before that, like nikiwa high school, I was planning to do a collaboration with the Madini Classic. So it was a dream, which came true when I met Madini Classic. So haikuwa rahisi, you know. Like tulimtafuta, then tukatafutana, tukameet, tukaongea hivyo, tukaenda studio, pia tukapatana, tukaongea hivyo for a long time. Then tukakuja tukapanga siku moja tunataka kufanya project.
Okay.
What just came through.
Okay, so Madini ulimuapproach aje? Alikubali tu virahisi juu upcoming artists wanasemanga ni ngumu kupata wenye wamejiestablish wakushike mkono, so unaweza sema ilikuwa rahisi kwako ama?
Of course ilikuwa rahisi, ilikuwa hard sana. Like unajua ukiapproach artist una expect like labda atakupali haraka ama ataitikia kuambia yes you can do, but no, lazima kuna challenges unapitia ukimit star. Kuna vitu unafaa kukwambia unafanya hivi na hivi, and then after there like akusikize aone pia una deliver nini, asikie content yako, aone kama like ni kitu yenye pia anaweza vibe nayo, unaona. Star vibe na kila kitu, star na class yake of course.
So aliona mko as in mko in line.
Yeah.
So akakubali.
Yeah, alisikiza idea kwanza, akasikiza mbia songs zangu, akasema kwa sawa anaweza vibe nayo.
Okay.
Akaitikia after there, so ndo tukaenda studio, tukaanza kuandika song hivyo 1 2 3. Yeah.
Okay, and the rest is history. So unaweza sema doing a collab with such an artist imesaidia like you to be known out there, ama inasaidia like an upcoming artist kupatia push?
Of course, ukifanya artist yote like star, umefanya nayo project, of course inakupush sana, inakuweka na another level. Yeah. Like the time like mna meet, mkifanya project, mna expect like ni kitu yenye nakutoa kwa nje, like anakutambulisha kwa mafans wake, anakutambulisha kwa corporates like that, you know. Like her fans wanaweza pia kukureceive for what you have delivered for that song. Sasa like kisimama pale Madini, akisimama pale aseme I have song with Class on Vital, you know, the fans will wataka kusikiliza, unaona. Wataka kusikiliza niko na nini na nimedeliver nini at the end of the day.
Okay.
So hivyo like ukifanya na artist song, mande si kila song ukifanya na artist ita hit ama itakuwa poa. Inafaa pia wewe unaangalia unataka kufanya nini, unataka kujituma, lazima ujitume first of all, na alafu unafaa kuwa prepared for content.
Okay, lazima ujitume. Na sasa kama hii yenye umefanya ina Madini, unaweza sema imeperform aje, imekusaidia aje in your personal journey?
By the way, that song help sana the video yangu ya kwanza kwa EP. Yeah, so hiyo ndio track yangu ya kwanza kwa EP na ndio video ya kwanza kwa EP release. So imenisaidia sana by the way.
So imekuhelp?
Yeah, imenihelp sana. Nikiangalia results, like ukiangalia pale YouTube utaona ngoma na get viewers, inapata numbers, so we're still growing every day, and each time, you know?
Okay, still on collabos, last one. What does it take to do a collabo? Do you pay the artist that invite kufanya collabo na wewe, ama it's ina depend na agreement yenu?
So there's some agreements like when you meet a star, atasikiza content. Unajua artist like star ukimmeet inalingana na ile kitu yenye uko nayo, na pia anaangalia at the end of the day what he's gaining or what he's gaining that person, you know. So akifanya collab anaangalia like kama unaweza toa the quality yenye inalingana, itamanya pia akwe proud of it, like anaweza post a push, like another share kwambia man, have done something big together, you know. So like inalingana pia. So single artist like star can meet anataka do. They are like for supporting young artists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, hebu tuambie about ngoma hizo zingine zenye ziko kwa EP. So umesema I know mbili ya Madini na kuna nyingine yenye bado you're still working on.
Yeah.
And then you have other 7 singles.
Yeah.
Hebu tuambie about hizo songs.
Songs man, the EP which is called Dust Down. So I'm the dust down, you know.
Dust down.
Down, yeah.
Dust down.
So yani vumbi sasa iko chini natoka.
Oh,
yani nimetoa vumbi, yeah, sana natoa vumbi. So when I'm saying the dust down, it means like the star ametoa vumbi sasa ndo naingia kwa game. So I'm in the industry sasa ndo nimeingia soko, nimerudi soko of course. Yeah, nimerudi soko. Na niko soko. So that EP by day, so I came with that idea, so like I need to make like a songs for EP. So nikakam na hiyo idea, so there nikamita producer, nikapanga kaniambia hapa tunaweza fanya hivi na hivi. Nikamwambia na I want to do 10 songs, akasema hizo na lot tunaweza fanya 9. Yeah. So ndo tukafanya that 9 songs. Na ni ngoma poa by the way, siko everywhere.
Sasa hebu kwa hiyo EP, song gani yako hapo ni favorite?
Hey, my songs there like Nikona mob like Shaku Shaku is my favorite collaboration, no?
Your favorite collaboration?
Yeah, so single like I have Hennessy, I have Wetete. It's my favorite, you know.
Wetete?
Yeah, Wetete.
Wetete inaongelea nini?
Inaongelea about the guy, like I'm in love with that guy, so I'm trying to tell him that I love you, you know? So I'm trying to tell him that I love you. If you be mine, I'm gonna do something that you've never seen before.
Okay.
So I'm just to approach a girl, so a lady najaribu kumwambia about you are a beautiful, yani uko poa na ukinipenda ndajidai, no. Yeah.
Okay. You are a lover boy. Songs zako zote ni about mapenzi ama kuna anything different?
You know, Afrobeat, we don't do all the time love songs. Sometimes pia tunafanya for like to feel good, like pia vibe, yani usikie pia uko na psyche kufanya kitu. Si kila mtu anapenda mapenzi, by the way. Watu wako heartbroken uko outside.
Sasa song gani basi si ya mapenzi kwa EP yako, ama song gani umetoa?
Kwa sahi kwa EP yangu ngoma zote ni za mapenzi.
Umesema wacha focus kwanza na love kwanza.
Ndio tunataka focus na love kwanza. Unajua love is the best thing for first.
Why do you think, at Bongo artists, when they sing, love songs, and do you think that this is something that is easy, yani kufikia mtu kwa hati yake aweze kuaccept, ni easier ukiimba love song than any other song?
Love song mande, unajua mapenzi ukiamka ni mapenzi, ukiishi kila siku tu, ukiondokea kuna mwingine bado atapenda. So love song ni kitu yenye haiwezi expire, ni kitu yenye tulipata na bado tutaiacha, no.
So you can't go wrong with a love song.
So we keep it grow every day and each time, Yeah.
Okay, na kwa music journey yako umesema imekuwa up and down, imekuwa na challenges.
Yeah.
So niambie one of the most yenye unakumbuka setback yenye ilikurudisha nyuma but ukaweza ku rise again?
You know, first of all, like ukifanya music, you need money. Yeah, music is a tough business, and when you start, you do it with a passion, but you need money to start that. So like kwa hustle pale kwa street, urudi kwa hustle kwa street, make dough, ndo si wana producer ndo kusikize tena ndo aitikie, it's so hard. Nazaenda pale na do bado vibe ikatae. Producer akose kubambika nawe,
Kuna kitu kufanyika kayo, ushaipeleka ngoma nini?
Yeah, the first time, of course, the first time niliandanga pale, like the first song which is called Good Man. So that day nilianda pale kurecord, nikaimba pale, producer akaniambia, ai bado, lakini ushanilipa, so kitu nitafanya utarudi tu kwa nyumba ufanye zoezi. Even then will come another day. So nikasema no. Bado next day tena kurudi hapo akaniambia no. Bado hujafanya anything. So nikafeel manze hii shit imekuwa ngumu sana. Sasa nikafeel kumbe hii kitu inakuwa ngumu hivyo. So unajua mimi nikienda nilikuwa naona ni rahisi, utapewa mic, headphones na bali of flow. Na wafanya audio, wafanya mastering kitu iko done, lakini no, kuna vitu nafaa kufuata, kuna procedures pale ukivis producer nafaa kufollow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hiyo song yako Bad Man ulikuwa
una Good Man.
Oh, sorry, Good Man. Yeah. Ulikuwa unasema you're not a bad man.
Yeah.
Kwa hiyo song nini what is the inspiration behind your song?
Inspiring for that song is like to tell every lady, like it's not each person you see is bad. Ama like kila boy, like ukimwona si kila mbaya, like unajua unaweza kuwa like you are heartbroken but unasema I want to give up in love, So I try to tell that girl, like you don't have to give up. I'm just a good man for you, And just to approach a girl like unamwambia I'm a good person and I'm not that kind.
Okay, so
where you used to be,
unatuma kesi yako, yani unajitetea hapo.
Yes, ndio najitetea. Jude man insist like mimi nimetoka kwa love na nimekuwa heartbroken, so staki. Nakwambia so staki, na wewe una feel like man, this guy when nikikuwa na yeye nasa ask hapo sana, I feel like world is done,
So unasema mimi I'm different.
Ndio, yeah, so like
Okay.
Yeah, so that song was singing like that for Good Man. So hata ukisikiza utasikiza pale nimemwambia like I'm just a good man. The first time I saw I feel so good,
Right.
Yeah.
Ukimba, from personal experiences, ama inspirations zako ukiandika song inakuanga nini?
And the ideas ni mingi kwa kichwa as an artist. Unajua talanta, ukiwa na talanta ideas zinakuanga mingi. Hadi ukiandika unaweza amka asubuhi usikie umeandika sikali kuliko yenye uko nayo hiyo siku.
Uchange kila kitu sasa.
Ubate umechange na upate tena ile song yenye umeenda na studio kurecord ufike pala akili change na urecord track nyingine kali. So ukiwa artist man, the idea ni mob.
Okay.
Sana, yeah. Ukiwa ideas ni mob, so kitu unahitaji tu ni kuziweka line moja alafu kwenda pale mtu mwenye anakuelekeza, so it's easy. Yeah.
Okay, so kwa artist lazima tuko flexible.
Yeah.
It's about the art.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think anyone can sing? Tuwetu tunazengia music career, what does it take?
Music manze, kila mtu of course anaweza imba. Lakini saa inalingana like nani atatikia. Focus for now, like industry uhitaji kitu yote kuimba. Ni kwenda studio kujionyesha kwa nje hata kukubali. Yeah, na pia kuna wenye wanaimba for fun because wanajua at the end of the day hawako sawa, but wanaimba for fun. Kila mtu anajua kuimba huko nje, like usipata mtu anasikiza ngoma kama Class No Vital ama Madini Classic Calligraphs anairudia, si anajua kuimba. Yeah, obviously anajua kuimba. Haizi kuwa nakosa kujua kuimba. So kama anajua kuimba, it means anaweza imba.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wewe ni artist mgani wenye una look up to?
Artist mwenye na look up in Kenya or international?
Tuanze na Kenya for international.
Kenya manze, kuna artist wengi wanajituma. Kuna kina Bien, kuna Calligraph. So it's so hard, you know.
So mention Bien, Calligraph, na hao wako
kina Otile pia wako hapo.
Yeah,
kuna artist pale wako sawa sana wanajituma. Kina Ndovu Niku tu wanajituma sana.
But you mention wako in a different genre sort of. Na yako, wewe uko Afrobeat.
Yeah, niko Afrobeat.
Sasa Calligraph John yeye ni wa hip hop.
Yeah.
So do you unaona nikao unaweza amua ku turn uingie to hip hop siku moja eventually into hip hop?
Sisi turn cause like mimi napenda Kenyan songs and support sana Kenyan artist. So mimi kitu kwanza napenda artist of Kenya. So but mimi siwezi change.
But you know, see Afrobeat pia si Kenya per se, hip hop pia si Kenya, but you can make it Kenya.
Unajua when you are an artist, kitu ya kwanza unafaa kujiangalia kwa hii game unataka kuimba nini. Unaweza choose uimbe gospel, unaweza choose uimbe kengeton. Kuna type mingi za songs, unaona. So like ukiwa artist unafaa uchoose. I mean, choose Afrobeat.
Kwa nini Afrobeat?
Afrobeat like me mwenyewe vibe yangu na feel like I can do it.
Ndio inaendana na.
Yeah, inaendana na hiyo style. So mimi napenda Afrobeat sana. I'm just fan of Afrobeat sana. Sana.
Okay, na international artist ni kina nani?
Fireboy DML. Fireboy DML.
DML.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my big role model, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so one day maybe utafanya collab naye, hopefully.
Of course, in the next 2 years or 3 years, I will do a big collaboration with him.
Big dreams.
Yeah, that's a big dream. Kona Gama Live, like when I meet Madini Classic, Gama Live. Yeah.
So now, umongelea, you know, something about being Kenyan, unaimba songs zako because of being Kenyan. But do you think songs zako zina nini culture ya Kenya? Zina portray culture, our African culture, Kenyan culture?
Of course.
Aje.
Like sikiza songs zangu, the words like in a maintain culture ya Kenya, because hata bado ukiwa kwa culture ya Kenya, you still have to be in love, no?
But love ni ya kila mtu. So what is Kenyan about shaku shaku song?
Shaku shaku song. Shaku shaku song in cultural in Kenya.
Yeah, yoyote. What is the Africanness in shaku shaku song?
Hey, Apple like when you look at the shaku shaku song, like miss you only like any go to sir. I don't get your question, like.
Okay, actually, we leave that one. Let's talk about something else. Some of the key highlights when you umekuwa journey yako to from 2019 as you come up, umekuwa na highlights gani? Ile moment tu uko na nyewe, by the way, music niliitwa, yani for me it's a calling. Kitu tu ilifanyika memorable for you in the music industry, the music journey.
Manze, like first of all, kitu shafanyika memorable for my life is just like when I was nikianza kuimba, kuna song ilitop inaitwa Smart Girl featuring Jakapela. So that song tulikuwa tumefanya audio, hatuna doya video, and the producer and director came from nowhere, akasema tunataka tushoot video. So hiyo ndio kitu yenye nilifanya ni motivate sana, nikasema naweza fanya hii kitu, unaona. And so that time sasa akakuja tukashoot video. By the video ni kali, kenda pale tu video ni kali sana. So yenda alini motivate sana, nikapata hiyo confidence ya naweza fanya hii kitu. Unajua that time unakuwa na challenges. So ushafanya audio, unafaa kutafuta pesa baada ya video. So unajua inakuwa hard sana.
Challenge.
Yeah, ni challenge bado. So director come through. Brayo pick up everywhere mali penye yako. Nakukotea sana. Thanks.
Hiyo ndio wow moment yako ukajua.
Yeah, hiyo ni memorable yangu na sitai sahau. Na kutoka hapo nikajiamini kumbe naweza fanya hii shit.
Okay. Unataka kufika wapi musically? In the next 5 years.
Next 5 years hata mingi ni politicians.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, basi 2 years.
The next 2 years man, then nataka kuwa international. I want to be in worldwide. I want to be
international.
Like international. Like I be like that Burna Boys. You know, Harmonize unajituma kina Calligraph, kina BN wako international kutoka Kenya. So pia Kenya artist wengi tunaweza international.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nitakwenda na umemention BN, you know, many times, but you mentioned ka Sauti Sol. Unajua tumezoea ka Sauti Sol and they sort of split kidogo, but they're still together. So are you unaweza ingia kwa a group? Would you be open kwa in a team? Maybe mtu kwa approach and say, by the way, we can form a group na tukue, you know, the Afrobeats singer musicians of Kenya and hits. Is it something that you're open to? Ama unataka tu kuwa tu solo na collabos moja moja hapa na pale?
Me I'm all about collaboration. Group is so hard, but we can talk. Tunaweza fanya agreement tuone kama tunaweza work out. Nalingana pia na artist mwenye na make naye group.
Okay, so akiandika proposal fiti.
Yeah, tunaweza ongea.
Consider?
Ndio, tunaweza ongea.
Okay.
Hiyo itakuwa katikati yetu na yeye, so it's all about agreement.
Alright.
Yeah.
Hi, speaking about your vision in 2 years to come to be international, are you prepared for fame? Upcoming artists usually prepared for fame. Mkianza, ama fame inafikanga and then suddenly, tumeona cases, some artists wakifika mahali and then inakuwa too much for them. But for you yourself, do you think you're prepared for your fame? Of course unajulikana, but your internationally, that type of fame.
Fame ni kitu poa sana kwa msanii. Na msanii yote mwenye anajituma kwa industry is a must kwa fame. Na kuwa fame ni kitu poa na ni kitu yenye mimi niko ready kwa fame. Yeah.
Utatesa hapa IG kidogo tuone.
Already nishaanza kutesa of course IG.
Oh, okay, ni kitu yenye inaendelea sasa.
Sasa kitu inahitaji ni tuna grow. Sasa it's all about grow. So after Kenya we are going international, so we are there already.
So
in the next 2 years.
So uko IG na other social media platforms.
Niko everywhere, yeah.
As an artist unatumia hizi platform kujijenga because it's a tool nowadays. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah, unajua umecreate zile platforms like fans akitaka kupata kitu yako ndo afikie YouTube, ndo afikie mahali popote. Anajua sasa like unajua kuna fans like mwenye ako Instagram anaweza kuona pale lakini hajui kama ni artist. But akiona pale umeshare audio, umeshare kitu pale, obvious ataka kufuatilia ajue hii iko wapi. So after that unaona atakudia maende YouTube aende wapi world akufuatilia asikie ngoma zako. So iko hivyo. So zinasaidia sana kwa msanii.
Do you make money from social media?
Yeah, of course.
How?
Like una make dough, like unajua ukiona ile content ukishare pale IG na fan kuja itumie, so you make money.
Fan
akikuja pale
akitumia content yako.
Yeah. Na bado ataitafuta atakakufuatilia ichukue. So unajua atakuwa sasa amechukua kutoka kwako. So you make money, unaona.
Okay, so one way or another. I know that some of
the TikTok kuna watu wana make dough. It's not all about artist. Any young
content
you are
creator.
Outside, yeah, you are just a content creator or just for fun. You are doing something nice for people. It pays you back.
So do you do something in content creation, TikTok, apart from music?
TikTok, I'm just there for telling people about my new projects. Like inaweza share pale audio yangu, TikTok yangu pale, you know, hivyo.
So unaitumia for marketing yourself, music, your music.
Yeah.
And what are some cons gani, yani the downside ya fame? Tumesema fame ni fiti, unakupromote and it's needed, but downside ya fame ni gani? Ukisha kwa tu in the lights.
Ukisha kwa in the lights. So unajua ukisha kwa in the lights, unajua sasa wewe ni role model pale chini. Yeah, pia sasa pia unafaa kutoa watu wengine wafikishe pale kwa light. Yeah.
So do you feel like artists wanakonga grill sana because wako kwa light. Yani ukifanya kitu kidogo unapata backlash online, ma critics, KOT wakiamua kuni wewe. You know, do you think hizo ni some of the downside ama bado hiyo ni kitu unaweza tumia for your own good?
Unajua ukiwa pale juu like when role model ama when ni lights. The downside like ukifanya kitu mbaya already kuna watu wengi wataongelea cause when ni light yao, no. At the end of the day wanakuangalia kwa wanaangalia wewe. So like unafaa kuwa mfano mwema, no. Yeah.
Okay, so but tell us where people can get you on your social media handles tukifunga hicho.
Like on social media before and that naweza kota watu watatu really.
Sawa, tuma salamu. You're from Kakamega, we understand.
From Kakamega, you know.
This is your camera.
Yeah.
This is your camera.
Well, this one is my camera. So nakotea mama wangu manze akiwa pale Kakamega St. Peters, Rebecca, where you are manze, big up mom. Nakotea sasa mabro zangu akiwa pale Kitale kwa pale boarding school, na wakotea wote sana na sisters. Anakotea watu wenye tuna hustle nao pale Gigomba manze street manze, tuna hustle pale tunangana. Pick up all guys like Dan Kichungi manze, pick up guys Modesta manze. Alafu my sister kwa pale nini anaitwa Roy Sambu Ajuja, namkotea sana. Thanks.
Hapo sawa. What social handles zako ni gani?
Platform zote ukitaka kunipata endo angalia Claston Vital, IG Claston Vital, TikTok Claston Vital, Twitter, Facebook Claston Vital, everywhere Claston Vital. Ingia YouTube Claston Vital, subscribe, like, comment, share. Claston Vital is CLASSTON. Unacha space alafu naka VITAL.
Okay, Claston Vital it is. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay, thanks.
That has been Claston Vital, a recording, performing artist and also a songwriter, speaking to us about his musical journey. And we bring this conversation to a close, but the show hasn't ended yet. We are about to come back and celebrate our Thanksgiving with you by cutting the turkey together. So you want to stay here, right here with us. But first, let's play a song by Claston Vital, and then we'll get back to us in studio.
Pressing, keep pressing. What all I see finish. Not pressing, problem, you know they last forever. Make you try to enjoy. I walk up from Pelham Muja to Apollo Meta just to find a mentor. Now who talk, yeah, what follow? Now who watch the fear God? Original Bana, jeje, until now so then they call me for fun, say my person, don't give it person, belle uncle. How will they consign me? I don't know, problem in no finish you, it's okay. Finish you, dance like Luala. Dance like Luala. Mr. Sid again. Alex is racing. Baby, what you do to me? They wanna tear us apart, but I know you're the one for me. Don't leave me waiting. I wanna be your queen. Give me love. I wanna be your queen. Oh baby, don't you know? Now you they cool me down when I'm hot, you know. Now you they give me time when I'm down, you know. You they give me time when I'm down, you know. Oh baby, don't you know? Now you they cool me down when I'm hot, you know. Now you they give me time when I'm down,
hata vibajia utafurahia. Najua umenimisi kunikumbatia. Vitamu tamu utavipata mama, usishike tama. You are the only one. The only one for me. Oh, mama. Oh, 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 mama. Oh, oh, oh. You are the only one. The only one for me. Oh, mama. Oh, 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 oh. You are the only one. The only one for me. Oh, mama. Oh, oh, oh.
It's a buzz.
It's the buzz.
We are ready.
I won't castigate, but the tribes are represented here. Yeah. Courtesy of the U.S. Embassy. And I think just before we get on to all this, it's also very important for me to read this message again. This is, that letter that has come from the ambassador to Kenya, that is Meg Whiteman, of course, addressed to our acting managing director Samuel Maina, as well as the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation staff. And this is in respect to the Thanksgiving, just saying that as I celebrate my first Thanksgiving as ambassador to Kenya, I wanted to pass along my well wishes and express my gratitude for everything you and your media colleagues do to champion democracy, inform citizens, and hold leaders accountable. In the United States, Thanksgiving is a time to reflect on the importance of family, friends, and the values that strengthen our communities, such as independent media. We are thankful for your hard work, persistence, and sacrifices that ensure access to timely, accurate, and insightful news coverage in Kenya. I hope you and your team take a moment today to reflect on your important role as journalists as you enjoy this turkey dinner. On behalf of the United States Embassy, happy Thanksgiving 2022, of course signed by the ambassador there, that is Meg Whiteman. And of course we are grateful just for gracing us and taking this time to also put us into this celebration that is normally commemorated in the United States as well as Canada every last Thursday of the month of November. It is a matter that we spoke to, when we were beginning the show, but it's also a good place to speak about it again, because why not?
Why not? I mean,
why not? Thanksgiving for me is like every day. But this is a special moment, definitely. Set aside just to, remember this far God has brought us. And all that, and what we are grateful for. But Thanksgiving for me is an everyday affair.
And I agree with Marie. For me also, it's an everyday affair, because every day you wake up and you're alive and you're healthy. You don't take that for granted. So that's something to be thankful for. And so that's what I'm thankful for today.
And I like the way both of you are putting it, just grateful for life. I mean, you've said something very important. Every day we wake up. Just because yesterday you woke up, came here, today you did, maybe tomorrow you will, then you imagine, it is my right. Hey, yo.
And you know what, Doreen? I find like every day is a miracle. And especially mornings for me are a miracle. The science behind it notwithstanding, but how do you wake up? Do you ever ask yourself how you get to wake up? And all that. That's a miracle. So you have to be thankful for being alive and seeing a new day. This is a day like for us, nobody has ever seen. You know, it's today the 24th of November. You've never seen this day. So it's a miracle that God has given you. So, and apart from that, I stopped complaining about so many things. You know, sometimes, especially for us ladies, you want to slim down, I'm overweight and all that. And I think God just reminded me, you know what, be grateful that you are not ill, despite the fact that you think, because there's somebody else who is at the right weight that you think you want to be, but they're not healthy. So we have so much to thank God for.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yes.
I'm curious what Doreen is grateful for.
Let me tell you, I'm grateful for life. And that's what I was saying. I was really agreeing with you. You know, it's not just kawaida. Just the usual, just that because you wake up every day, you think then it's within your right. I mean, just as you also rightly put it, you don't really understand those forces. So it just clearly means that if you're still seeing each day, your purpose is not yet done. And regardless of what happens in your life, you know, those deep waters, sometimes very sticky, you don't understand how things are looking like, but because you are already alive today, because you're seeing this day, it simply means that heavens is not yet done with you and you still have a bright and a greater future, and that's something to be grateful about. I mean, just talked about how it's quite some difficult times you're living in. Talked about the different places in the country, the 29 counties suffering from the drought. We are seeing various interventions. In fact, this is something that the U.S. Embassy has also, you know, been in a bid to try and provide there to assist Kenya. As I understand, $230 million is perhaps what they're pledging for this particular exercise. So you can just see the kind of interventions that is bringing different stakeholders from outside, from inside. But you are here wanting to eat a whole turkey. I mean,
look at us.
And just before we get to actually slice, is it slice? Which I eat?
Whatever.
I want to call our very own representative here. He's screaming on my ear.
Yes.
Mr. Director, please make your way. Make your way. Make your way.
It is now your time. The time has come.
Exactly. Make your way before we catch tuambie what you're grateful for as well. Gilbert himself, unatuambianga toka kwa set. Malisa. So is he to have the guys behind the scenes? What are you grateful for, Gilbert, before we just cut, you know, the turkey?
Well, I'm grateful that the year is almost coming to an end.
Oh, yeah.
And we have Joy here with us too, our producer.
We have a lot to be grateful for. We began the year, and now we are seeing the end of it. Thank God. Being alive, it's a gift.
It's true. I'm telling you. Joe, the other one.
What are you grateful for?
See, that's what we keep saying. From me on behalf of the entire team, because it's our whole team. If they leave the camera, we're not here no more. This is actually, you know, work of a whole team, not just the faces that you see. Joe?
Yes. So I'm grateful for today, for the gift of life, for peaceful elections, and for this team. I'm so grateful for everything, and I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving Day.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And I'm not forgetting, I'm grateful for my colleagues here. I mean, like you said, it's teamwork. So Joanne is behind the scenes trying to run for me the auto cue. Something goes wrong. I mean, so I have to depend on her. I have to trust her, you know. And definitely our director here, you know, Doreen and Stephanie, we always, you know, share what are we going to be doing today and all that. So I'm actually grateful for you guys.
Yes, we're also grateful for you. There's someone saying we should not forget him.
The others behind the scenes, we have Martin, we have Fadili, we have Ben.
So it's an entire team. They always say these people that you see in front of the screen, bila wale wako nyuma, behind the scenes, we are not here. We are nothing. But let's now, so we now want to finish this whole event. Tukimkata huyu mkuku. You know where I come from? We call this a very big chicken. So it represents one of those very important meals in respect to where I come from. So this is also very...
I was just thinking, what if birthdays could, you know, we could have such, you know, you cut it in place of a cake.
Nothing can ever
for the Western.
A cake is a cake.
So we just want to cut this for our viewers to see as we test it through. But sasa, hapo after tukimaliza hii story.
It's going down.
Tunaanza na producers when wako represented kwa set. Si ndio?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maoni iko sawa.
Ungeanza usipatiwe. So we start with the producers represented in set. As we are continuing to be grateful to God for this moment. And I liked what Kelin said. You know, Kelin is the first guest that we actually had there. And Kelin was saying that it's important to maintain culture.
Yeah.
You know, she's in the California, in the States. But one of those things that she kept talking about is the issue of tradition, culture, just also telling us how back from 1621 when they began commemorating this day. Much as 68% of those in the States really don't enjoy this turkey per se. Not one of their favorite delicacies, but it's the main meal.
Yeah, because it's tradition. They're trying to keep
because it's tradition. Hey, sasa si tuanze tukule sasa kidogo.
Tukule sasa.
Kule kidogo. As we close the show, yeah?
Yes.
As we close the show. All right. Okay. So we have this. Producers, we have catered for you first. As in,
You're not feeding us.
We honor you. We appreciate the fact that you are our main people.
So we're starting with you.
Okay.
We're starting with you. Ama nataka tukulishe jamani.
Hiyo ndio ilikuwa maoni wewe.
But who are
Kama
we?
keki,
We are agreeing. Maria, tukimalizia show.
Tukimalizia
show.
And nilikuwa nataka wimbo but
Mato cheza kama wewe. Martin is one of actually our main producers as well. Alikuwa anasema tusimumalizie hatuwezi.
So yeah, Mato iko hapo.
Iko tu hapa.
Yeah, because you know if he doesn't get it, you know what will happen behind the scenes. So we might not be on set the next time.
Anasema tuanze na nani Steph.
Okay.
Tuanze na
I'm
Steph.
ready.
Mimi ndo akukulishana I'm telling you.
Thank you.
Anasema tuonje pia sisi. We also give Marie, telling you there's a lot to be grateful for. There's really a lot to be grateful for. We just had an election.
Yes.
And
peaceful one.
I am telling you, a very peaceful election.
Exactly.
If you're not grateful for something, that's one thing you need to be equally grateful to God about. We don't take such moments and times for granted, particularly going by our history sometimes, yeah?
Yeah.
True.
Yes.
Thank you.
So Gilbert, you can
Alafu sasa masani yangu.
serve Doreen.
Masani yangu. Masani yangu.
It's very nice.
But it's very
I love
tasty.
it.
Yeah? It's actually nice.
Well marinated, very nice. Tunakula kwa niaba ya our viewers. We are representing you.
We will embark.
Yeah.
if only you could see.
All right. Again, thank you so much for watching. On behalf of this entire team and the men and women behind the scenes, we have said time and again, without you, sisi hatupo, yamani. So we appreciate you. Asante sana. Till next week, good morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
And a happy Thanksgiving Day.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
To get the pit as your skiza tune, dial *811 *397 hash.
You may be in the pit. You do not see how you could get out. But the good news is that you do not have to get by yourself. The Most High God is about to lift you out. He's about to turn the medical report. He's about to free you. He's about to open new doors, bringing new opportunities, new relationships. The pit is not your destination. Get ready to rise.
To get the pit, dial *811 *397 hash. *811 *397 hash.
It weighs at 6.175 kilograms and stands just 36.8 centimeters tall. But while the FIFA World Cup trophy is not the biggest or heaviest in world football, it remains the most coveted. It is, as FIFA President Gianni Infantino says, a mythic object for players and for all football lovers. And it will remain the source of dreams for millions between now and the Qatar 2022 final on 18th December.
I was part of the team ilitumwa kutake out Burhan. Nilikaa for 5 years, nika study the man. All I ask is you let me right my wrongs and give me an opportunity to bring Burhan down for good.
Na una hakika hiki kikosi chako kitaweza kufanya hivyo?
Yes, sir.
Hii kikosi yako kuna kina nani?
Senior Sergeant Farah, aka Stingray. Corporal Ibrahim, aka Mongoose. Corporal Katana, aka Panther. PC Adhiambo, aka
Mandiet.
PC Kibet, aka
University.
We do this for honor.
Yeah.
Our loved ones, our family, and our country. 1, 2, 3.
Deliver bidhaa kama kawa kuna maswali.
Singa no tamu yudo.
Kuchemsha bongo.
I realized that I had talent in acting when I was 3 years old. My mother took me to an audition at KBC and I was selected for a role. But it looks like a dog.
Yes, it does.
The auditions were interesting and fun. I was excited when I was given a role in Strange.
Hungry?
Yes.
Good. I'm going to make us an omelette for breakfast, okay?
The story of Aladdin. Well, if you've never heard about it, here is your chance to do so. And if you heard about it before, well, it doesn't hurt hearing about it another time.
Hey guys, welcome back to Tammy's Kitchen. I'm going to show you guys how to make the yummiest shortbread cookies at the comfort of your home.
I'm going to teach you how to make a fan doll. And for that, we need different colored papers.
He looked at me with sadness and grief. Tired and
Ngili ngili ngili, kengele imeshalia, wasaa umewadia, kwenda nyumbani yafaa.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
I really feel for Olunga. Olunga hiyo miaka yote amekuwa kitusifia hapa venye anacheza mpira Qatar.
Alikuwa anacheza nao.
Kumbe anafunganga mabao huko, anacheza na vipofu.
Okay, no. Actually, most of them look like babies. But they look that way.
Wanaenda kwa jeshi kupigana na nani? If I meet that guy now,
let me tell you.
On the war
let me tell you. You see, there's actually no.
I'll punch him with a tomato.
No, you don't. You why?
Hao watu wa kuimba na kudance.
Acha kuonea.
They hawawezi make hawatoshi mboga when it comes to the only host country to have lost the opening match of the World Cup.
Seriously, no, you would not
yani
hold
mko home, mko nyumbani.
Someone said
your king is there claiming to be a footballer.
As they were managing the preparations of Qatar, they forgot to manage their team.
November like never before. Mouth-watering programs. Maza takes a break And in comes football extravaganza. And a bouquet of the best of movies from the Orient lined up for you. Oh yes, November 2022 is like never before. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Mr. Jong, have you marked all the memories you wish to delete?
Yes.
Relax. We will now begin removing your memories.
Let him out of the car! At least let him out of the car!
Ah, car!
Jofan! You were right. Jin Shashan's the killer. Who is that? I'll visit the Master of Memory Center. We cannot let another Li Huilan case happen again. Can you go hide out with Dai Chen for now?
November like never before. Mouth-watering programs. Maza takes a break, and in comes football extravaganza. And a bouquet of the best of movies from the Orient lined up for you. Oh yes, November 2022 is like never before. Only on KBC Channel 1.
I really feel for Olunga. Olunga hiyo miaka yote amekuwa kitusifia hapa venye anacheza mpira Qatar.
Alikuwa anacheza nao.
Kumbe anafunganga mabao huko anacheza na vipofu.
Okay, no. Actually, most of them look like babies.
But they look that way.
Anaenda kwa jeshi kupigana na nani? If I meet that guy now,
let me tell you.
On the wall.
Let me tell you. You see, there's actually no.
I'll punch him with a tomato.
No, you why?
Hao watu wa kuimba na kudance.
Acha kuonea. They are creative.
Hawawezi make hawatoshi mboga when it comes to the only host country to have lost the opening match of the World Cup.
Seriously, no, you would not hold
muko home, muko nyumbani.
Someone said
your king is there claiming to be a footballer.
As they were managing the preparations of Qatar, they forgot to manage their team.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1.